You're on.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
You behave yourself.
I'm going to try.
Don't.
Yeah. Join in when you get ready.
Okay.
Here you go.
Celebrating 10 years of award-winning car talk, it's the In Wheel Time Car Show. We have our dear friend and car enthusiast Ron Stein in the house today.
In the studio.
Mr. Mars continues his series on banned race cars. Today, the 92 Nissan Skyline GTR, which, by the way, I saw one of those at Autorama last weekend. We have the upcoming events calendar and today's news headlines and more. It's all just ahead on today's In Wheel Time Car Show. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars. We need more Jeff Zekin.
We do.
I'm Don Armstrong. Conrad is off today, and as I mentioned earlier, in the house with us, sitting in Conrad's spot, the very famous and fabulous Ron Stein.
In my own mind.
And in our mind, too. So it's good to see
Perfect.
you. Yeah, and
Nice
we're
seeing you.
going to get to Ronnie here at the bottom of the hour, so hang in there with us. But right now, we're going to start off with our first guest, and his name is Scott Bonvisuto. And Scott, good morning. Apparently, I get the award for pronouncing your last name right.
Yay.
Yeah, congratulations, buddy.
Well, thanks so much. So Scott is with a company called the Console Vault in-vehicle safe.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah. And we thought that this was a pretty interesting thing. And, Scott, instead of me trying to stumble my way through a description, in two sentences or less, why don't you describe what this Console Vault is?
Well, basically, a Console Vault is the company. The in-vehicle safe is the product, and what we manufacture is a high-security safe that installs easily into your center console, and it provides the utmost in security. So if you need to store your valuables, there's the place to put it.
So does it fit inside the console, or does it replace the factory console?
Well, no, it's a total slip-in, easy do-yourself install. And I got another example here. First of all, this is a current Toyota 4Runner, and it's made of heavy 12-gauge cold-rolled plate steel, powder coat finish. And what's really unique about our product is the way it's engineered, it just slips in. So basically, if you open up the console, empty all your contents, you'll see two screws that hold the console itself to the floorboard.
Yeah, right.
You remove those two screws, and if you notice at the bottom, we have two pre-drilled holes. You basically slip this in, open the lid, and then install it from the inside, close the lid, and it's secured. And that's what it looks like outside the console, and this is the finished product. This happens to be my daily driver. This is a 2019 Ford F-150 Roush conversion Nightmare. Has a supercharger in it, but
Did you
this
say
is what it
nightmare?
looks like.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You've got to wait just a minute here.
Yes, sir.
A nightmare? I like it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
See
So
my seat here? Here you go.
nightmare.
Yes, sir.
And Roush makes this?
Yes. Roush is actually one of our customers. We do supply safes to them. And I'm always a Ford guy. Ford's our customer too. And then the Roush package, when they bought this product, or this truck, I should say, they told me it was the fastest production truck out there. 650 horsepower, so it's a fun driver. But I digress here, but this is basically what the unit looks like in here. And you can see I have the different badges on here because these are different customers we sell to. But the finished product is very nice, very durable. And the easy thing about it is these are the tools you need to install it. Basically, either a basic socket set or a screwdriver. So it's a non-intimidating installation. So it's an easy do-it-yourself product.
And nobody would ever know that it's really in there.
No, that's the nice thing about it. People walk by, they look in, it looks totally stock. It's it's hidden underneath the lid. You open this up, and lo and behold, you have a safe.
So
That's some sort of combination lock that's on the top there.
I was just going to ask you. So what's the method of
yeah.
getting in and out of the safe?
Right now, we have three lock options. One's a barrel key. It's a key lock. and then we have a combination. This happens to be the combination, so you just put your combination into the dial, turn the knob, you open it. We will be introducing some new lock technologies in the next year, early next year, which will include electric combination, and also we're looking at doing biometrics. But
Biometrics,
right now,
so in other words, like put your thumbprint on it?
Yep, thumbprint, fingerprint, that kind of thing.
That's
Yes, sir.
that's pretty darn cool. How big is this thing? Do they vary by the size of the console?
Yeah, we are limited to the factory console, so all shape, all sizes, all dimensions. So some are bigger, some are smaller. Obviously, this F-150 is one of the larger ones. We predominantly do trucks and SUVs because it's a larger compartment. When you get into the passenger vehicles, the compartment becomes very small, and it becomes unpractical. The safe is so small. So we are coming out with a line of universal safes that don't specifically install in the center console for the smaller vehicles, and those will be coming out next year also.
So let's say I've got a CHL and I'm going to lock up a pistol. What is the largest pistol that would be able to fit in there, or does it matter the size of vehicle and the size of compartment?
Well, I get that question all the time, and with the, like I said, variable sizes, different shapes. I use the analogy: if you can fit your handgun into your console without a safe, it's going to fit inside the console, inside the console safe. So, like for example, you can see this is a much bigger vessel to work with, where the 4Runner was smaller, but again, it gives you ample size. So again, rule of thumb: if you could fit it inside the console without the safe, it'll fit inside the safe.
Now, let's just change thinking here for just a second, and say that I've got a $1,500 bottle of fine whiskey.
Sure.
You're drinking and driving.
And I'm thinking that, I don't want to risk leaving it in the back seat as I go to Grandma's house for the holiday, and I want to lock that up. Will it fit a quart jug in there, or a fifth?
You know what? In mine, probably. Maybe in that 4Runner, maybe not so much. But again, you bring up a very good point. We say lock up your valuables. Your valuables are very unique to you. So maybe your bottle of bourbon is your valuable. Someone else's their watch, their ring, etc. So to answer your question specifically, though, again, we are limited to what the factory provides us for size.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking the same thing. Your valuables. There's a lot of times you go into a game or something like that, and the wife doesn't want to carry your purse.
Absolutely.
And that looks.
I could tell you a real life story. We went to a game. I got season tickets here up in Cleveland for the Browns, and we took my sister-in-law, and they got a rule that you can't bring a bag in. And so she shows up with her bag.
Of course.
Lo and behold, she has to go back and put her purse in the vehicle, and she was freaking out because she had to do that. It fit it fit inside the safe. It gave her peace of mind for the rest of the game,
Very
and
good.
it was there waiting for her when we got back.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got another question for you. Now, so right now you guys are only building these for center consoles. I know that there are some trucks that have a storage area under the back seat where you lift up the back seat. So do you guys have an application for something like that?
We will be having those out shortly, and we're expanding the product line all the time. So those are actually in the works, in the development right now. So hopefully sometime early next year we'll be releasing those products. But to answer your question, yes, we're looking at any and all options.
Yeah, because that would be something that would because you can make them much longer,
right?
Because that area back there, for the most part, is longer, and that would be a good hiding place as well.
Yeah,
and I have to admit to you, I have a large, nice collection of gold chains, and I'm thinking that this would probably be a good thing for my gold chains when I go to the game.
Pretty much, sure.
Yeah, and if he's taking his best
it's
bourbon,
very adaptable. It's very adaptable. Sure.
If he's taking his best bourbon to Grandma's, let Grandma get her own bourbon.
Maybe.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, there's that, and I could probably borrow some of her gold chains.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, so where do you get these things?
I was just going to say, we make it very easy. You go to www.counselvault.com. We make it very easy for you to look up your application, pick your application. We have currently over 140 SKUs covering hundreds of applications. And they're, like I said, they're predominantly trucks and SUV because of the larger compartment. And right now we are running specials for the holiday. So take advantage of that. But again, and then, if there's any problems, call our customer service at 800-878-1369. We can answer any questions. But again, one thing I want to stress to your viewers, this is a very easy install. Should not be intimidated. It comes with step-by-step instructions. We walk through it, walk through the whole process with you.
Well, so even we could do it.
Yeah, I don't know about that now. That's kind of pushing our luck. Well,
basically, if you could change a light bulb, you can install the console safe.
We're out.
That's sorry, that won't work for us. But okay, so here's the other question for you. Now, we talked about inside the vehicle, but we didn't talk about the trunk. You got anything for the trunk?
We are actually looking for that. So, we do business with Ford Motor Company, and they approached us for the next generation Mustang. And lo and behold, we found out the compartment is, rather small. Guys, we can't do it. We would love to do it for you. So we're looking at options to do it in the trunk. Today's trucks or cars, you see they come without a spare tire or without without the basic stuff that we used to get back in the day. So there is areas where we can install or design a safe to be installed in those compartments. So the short answer is, of course, we're looking at that.
Good. Yeah, because, I'm thinking of cars mainly, and there's ample room in there, especially on the sides of the trunk next to the wheel well or behind the wheel well, that would be easy for a side opening kind of deal.
So these are all current year projects, the current year product that you're doing.
Right. Well, we have with my company, we do two major segments of the market. So we have a direct to the consumer, which is our retail e-commerce, and then we are also an OEM supplier. We supply to Ford Motor, some to Toyota, and Roush Automotive. So the OE kind of drives our new applications, and that obviously trickles into the aftermarket where we do the older models. So we're always on the cutting edge. We have unique relationships with the OEs where we get the drawings ahead of time. So, most of the times we have safes available before vehicles are launched. So, yes, it is mainly new vehicles, but you can see as time goes on, those new vehicles become older vehicles. So we just kind of keep building the list.
It's called the Console Vault. And what's that website again?
It is consolevault.com.
Consolevault.com. That's easy to remember.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You got a ballpark price for one of these? Because I'm thinking about a Ram 1500. But I
Ram 1500, no problem. Well, again, base starts around $299 for the safe, and then we have a couple lock options that may bump the price up. Right around $299 is your base price.
So for under $500, you could have a steel vault that could hold all of your valuables, including your gold chains.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what to do with all the junk that's in there now first.
Well, yeah. I'm thinking there needs to be a kind of a divider that goes inside there so you can put all of the crap that you normally would have fallen down in there anyway that you'd never see for 10 years until you sell the vehicle, and then have the good stuff on top.
Yeah, well, that gives you the option to kind of personalize it yourself. We did offer some add-ons in the past, and things were, some were hot, some were cold. But we found out we leave it up to the individual because you can see, the car compartment is very large, so you divide it up the way you want. So that's up to you, the end user. But you're all right. You can divide that up, and we provide a foam pad at the bottom to cushion your belongings in there. But it's up to you how you want to use it.
Yep, I like it.
I think of a lot of times cameras and stuff. When I used to carry a lot of them, but I was always looking for a place to stash them where nobody's
out of sight. Yeah, exactly.
Guns, gold, and booze.
Because
I think about valet too. When you go to valet, you leave your stuff in your truck. You lock it up.
And it's funny because remember we used to have locking glove boxes.
Oh, yeah.
And
back in the day, right?
Yeah, if nothing else, it was just kind of a deterrent. Okay, well, I can't open it, and I've only got a couple of seconds. I'll just rummage through whatever else is open.
Right.
But with the new consoles, there is no no locking mechanism on them, and just open them up and help yourself.
Another thing that was brought to my attention, I got to do a little bit more research because, to get more information about it. But there's evidently a device where car thieves are walking a parking lot and they're able to detect Bluetooth items inside a vehicle. So it picks up the signal. So he did a review on one of our products, and his suggestion was you wrap it in tin, like your cell phone or your iPad or whatever. You wrap it in tin foil, put it underneath your seat, and that blocks the signal. Lo and behold, when you put it in one of our vehicle safes, because it's a steel compartment, that blocks the Bluetooth signal, so the detectors don't pick up that, so they leave your truck or your car alone. That was very eye-opening to us that we just learned in the last several months. And we're going to explore that too.
That's very cool.
That gives you that option.
Yeah, we wear tinfoil hats here in the show.
Tinfoil hats. Yeah,
that's up to you guys.
Yeah, and lead-lined helmets as well.
Right.
Hey, Scott, it's great to talk to you, man. Thanks so much for getting up this early in the morning and talking to us. We appreciate it.
Hey,
yeah,
I appreciate the opportunity, guys. Anytime.
All right. Well, you take care and keep us posted on your new stuff.
Absolutely. But everybody go to CounselVault.com. Take advantage of the specials. You can email me personally with any questions. My email is scott@counselvault.com, and I answer my emails.
I thought it was Scott's Hot, scottshot.com.
Well, I got to look into that one, buddy, to see what's available.
Take care, Scott.
Can you get this by Christmas? Last question. Can you get it by Christmas?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If we're saying if you get your order in by the 15th of December, you'll have no problem. And
Perfect.
We have plenty of inventory.
Oh, that'd
plenty of
be
inventory.
what a great Christmas gift idea.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Going into hunting
Absolutely.
season. and
Put your
stuff.
gifts in the lockbox, and that way nobody.
Absolutely.
There you go.
There you go.
Scott, take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You bet. Scott Bonvisuto.
Very good.
You're such a linguist.
Listen.
Among other things.
You can't mention.
There's so many things that I could say, but I'm not going to.
Please don't.
I guess I just did, didn't I? Kind of. Without saying it. Ron, did you ever see the movie The Hollywood Knights?
Oh, just say yes,
God.
Ron. Just say yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, here you go.
Oh, my God. Yes.
Lawrence of Arabia.
See what you started? Come on.
Well, we always pay homage to one of the great classics. It's right up there with Gone with the Wind and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yep. Airplane.
Airplane.
There you go.
That's a good one. So, hey, thanks for joining us today on the In Wheel Time Car Show. In the studio with us today, a rare and much sought after in-person visit by the fabulous Ron Stein. And thank you very much for getting up and coming and seeing us.
Well,
of course, you've probably been up since, 3 o'clock this morning? If you're like me.
No, I have been up earlier, but I was a little excited about coming here, A, getting here, and number two, what I was going to talk about. And Mike, wonderful Mike here, explained to me what my role here was today. So I have to.
What is your role here today, other than it causing a great disturbance?
My role is here today? Because I could be in bed too.
I think that's one of the things that we should try to shoot for this year is each of us do the show from our own beds at our own homes.
Better idea. Contact Mattress Mac, and we'll do it from his showroom.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a king size bed, like in a semicircle.
Tempur-Pedic.
There you go. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
One of those that
We'll have
raises up and
cameras
down.
Right.
We'll be in touch, Mac.
Yeah. That'd be perfect.
So if you're not familiar with Mr. Stein, he's been a friend of this show for, 10 years now.
At least.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure.
And we really got to know Ron when he was in charge of a show that no longer actually. Do they have the Dallas show?
No.
They don't have that show either.
No.
Well, that's a real shame. It was a great show. It was done on a golf course up at La Torretta, which is now Margaritaville.
Correct.
And it was an interesting show in the fact that a lot of absolutely stunningly beautiful cars, all the way back to the 1920s, would show on the golf course up there.
Would that be like a Concours?
It was a Concours d'Elegance.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the Texas Concourse. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was an offshoot of the McKeels and Wheels, And some gentlemen came in and decided that it would be a great venue for the event, and a wonderful resort, which made it completely different, where people actually could stay on the grounds and display their cars. And, there was a restaurant there, et cetera. And unfortunately, the gentleman and the auction company that liked the venue, the chairman was from Dallas, and he saw how popular it was, and he saw how many cars were available, and he moved it after 5 years to
Dallas.
Dallas, yeah.
And how'd that work out for him?
Well, it was worked out well until the country club there decided to remodel, and they couldn't have it for a while. So they moved from one beautiful venue in Houston to Dallas, and it went on for a couple of years, and then they couldn't put it on anymore because of all the construction equipment and the damage to the grounds. So, to be honest, Don, I don't know if it's still going on or not, whether they've recouped after the construction.
Well, obviously, the original Concours d'Elegance here in Houston still doing very well,
Yeah.
Keels and Wheels, and that is a by invitation only kind of event, very similar to Pebble Beach, and that has kind of taken on a life of its own,
Yes.
and is highly respected, and so the competition's tough in that area.
Well, when we started with 30 cars and 10 wooden boats. And when I left 15 years later, we had 200 cars and 100 wooden boats.
Yep.
So it speaks for itself. I
Yes.
mean, and early on, people don't want to join something or bring a car to something that's unknown. So we had difficulty in the beginning of having a concourse at a yacht club. And all of a sudden, like Topsy, it just grew. And we got some wonderful cars and wonderful PR and some great judges and great competition from individual owners who had collections. And also car clubs were a main force in the work of the people that would help put it on, basically.
Right. Well, and the fact that you've got a built-in reservoir of people, helpers there at the country club. Everybody volunteers and everybody
Yeah.
comes out to help put the thing on, because I don't think that you could put on an event like that without some free help.
Oh, no question about it.
Because, I mean, it takes a lot of people to put on an event that size. And it's kind of like the rodeo.
Yeah. Yeah.
They would not be what they are today without the volunteers out there. And everybody has a good time, and there are perks to being a volunteer. So it kind of, it's a wash your hand kind of thing. And it's unique. And I kind of alluded to this earlier, and let's get into it at the bottom of the hour about how the whole car showing cars, concours, how that all is changing and evolving every year. And us old people.
No, let's say experienced.
Experienced people. Okay, we'll say that. It'd make you feel better. We'll say that.
I'm sticking with old.
Are you? Okay.
It's easier.
And bald?
Yeah,
Well, let's not get carried away.
but pretty.
Okay.
And gray.
And gray. Yeah. Those that have a full head of hair. That's always
Well,
good to have.
grass does not grow on busy streets.
Is that what they say?
That's right.
All right,
That's what I say.
Well, okay.
I still carry a comb with me, but I just can't part with it.
You just can't part with
You
it.
put tissue paper on it, you can hum through it, and it sounds
play
like
a
a
tune.
kazoo.
I'll need to try that.
Oh, please.
Do that. Who has the events calendar?
I do.
Well, Mr. Zekin, I think that since Conrad's not here today, that somebody needs to do the events
I
calendar,
know.
and apparently it's
It's
you.
going to be me. Well, today is the 4th, so we're going to start with tomorrow. 12/5, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. We got the Chrome and Coffee.
Which will be, by the way, the last one, because the guy that owned Prince's Hamburgers died of COVID.
Oh, no.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I think you did say that.
Yeah, John. I think that, I don't know if you guys met him or not, but really a nice guy. It's a real shame. And I guess Prince's is finally done with.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's tomorrow.
Yep.
It's
That's over at the Sharpstown Golf Course. Yep.
6600 Harbortown Drive,
Yep.
Houston. It's cruising only. Entry is free. And then again tomorrow at 6:30 to 10:30 is the Woodland Car and Coffee for a Cause. It's at 9595 Six Pines Drive, the Woodlands. Cruise in only. Entry, you can donate. I mean, you got to donate. So, and then moving on again for tomorrow is 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Cars and Coffee, Aggieland Outfitters at 303 University Drive in East College Station. Cruise in only. Entry fee is free. Beautiful. Tomorrow also, you've got 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pistons on the Park and Austin's Park and Pizza. That is in Pflugerville. It's right around the corner from you, Mike. Entry's free. And then, of course...
it's one of those cities that, you've heard of, but nobody knows where it really is.
Yeah.
Except the people that live there.
Yeah.
Pflugervillians,
yeah. Pflugerites. And then Sunday's a test and tune at Houston Motorsports Park. That is at North Lake Houston Parkway. Again, tomorrow you've got 8 a.m. to 11. You got brunch, coffee and cars, People, Pena Donuts and Diner. That's a mouthful. In Pearland Parkway. Tomorrow again, 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. ride on Faith's Cowboy Church Toys for Tots.
And let me also mention the fact that we are going to be at Tailpipes and Tacos on the 18th. I'm sure that you've got that on there. But
you just did.
Okay.
Yep, perfect.
Yeah.
And then the last one I've got is Freddy's Steakhouse, Steak Burgers, I'm sorry. Freddy's Steak Burgers. It's a cruise-in only, and that is at 1705B Fry Road in Katy.
All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Mars has banned race cars. The 1992 Nissan Skyline GTR. In 1992, I had never heard of the Nissan Skyline.
Well, I hadn't either. And you don't hear too much about them. But after we talked to the guys last week at the Tuner Galleria, then I thought, that's you ought to see it. My son mentions the Skyline every once in a while, and the Fast and Furious movies had them. But I found it interesting that the Skyline really came from the Prince Automobile Company in 1957.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either. And then later on, they merged with Nissan and Datsun.
That's not it, Jeff.
That's not it.
Datsun.
That's not going to do that.
No, that's not it.
Here we go.
Then when it launched in 1957, it had a 1.5 liter engine in it that wasn't real big, but the second gen of it that came up in 64 was a 2.0 liter engine that had a whopping.
That's not it either.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one we're going to get to.
I was going to say, because that's not a 1964 model.
No.
I guess you didn't have a picture of that.
No, didn't. Pictures are kind of hard to find of these things.
Okay.
So anyway, that's where it kind of came from and where it got into and really where it got its name, because people started calling it Godzilla, was because of the monster win record that it developed in the racing.
I thought it was
like 1968 to 1972. It won 49 out of 50 races it entered.
Oh.
And then later on, there was one series that it raced, they won all 30 of the races, even with things like when they started penalizing it over in Europe, putting a 309-pound penalty on it to try and make it a little more comparable to the existing cars. And then they started turning down the turbo, putting a valve on it so it could only have so much boost on it to try and slow it down. Before they actually banned it. And it wasn't until the 1992, whenever they actually got into it after it made some inroads into Daytona and Pikes Peak and all over the European and Australia, has this monster record of wins everywhere it's gone. But to do it, to get it competitive, that's what they started penalizing it to slow it down so that the other cars could keep up. Ended up banning the four-wheel drive on it. And a couple other things that we've talked about that they did with some other cars. And then part of the thing with it in the United States, the JDM, got to be 25 years old to get here. Mm-hmm. So that's, they could bring it in as a race car because it's just coming in to race, but not to sell. And that's the reason you find some of the older ones out there that are starting to pop up now.
Okay.
And that's what got it banned. It was too good.
All right. Thank you, sir. In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available from your favorite podcast provider. And the In Wheel Time Car Show continues right after this quick break. It's a very special Christmas Tailpipes and Tacos Car Cruise In, Saturday, December 18th at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy. Bring a toy for Star of Hope and have breakfast on us. Tailpipes and Tacos will award trophies for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and Best Modern Classic. It's the Great Christmas Cruise In on Saturday, December 18th, so make plans now. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest cruise in, and this one brings it all together for Star of Hope in a Toys for Breakfast Christmas special. Bring a toy and get a free Loopy Tortilla breakfast, plus trophies for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and Best Modern Classic. It all happens at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Get your ride ready for a very special Christmas cruise in Loopy style. It's Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, December 18th, 8 to 11 a.m. The In Real Time Car Show will be there too. Let's celebrate the Christmas season together at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Toys for a free Loopy breakfast, Saturday, December 18th, 8 to 11 a.m. We'll see you then, weather permitting. It's the In Wheel Time Car Show, your weekly go-to all things automotive place. Ahead, Ron Stein is in the house. We'll also have the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars. We need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could join us today. Conrad's out. He'll be back next week. And we sure are glad that you joined us today. We were talking in our last segment about the car enthusiast and how car shows and clubs, that whole car scene is changing. And I said before we went on the air this morning, we had this conversation, the fact that, I was talking to the new hot rodders that are coming on, and more specifically the JDMs, the Japanese domestic market. And these guys have the same enthusiasm that we did back in our day when we were that age. It's just different cars, but the same enthusiasm. You had your show guys, you had your hot rod guys, you went to the racetrack guys, that sort of stuff.
You had the rat rods.
All that. So, but they don't know anything about rat rods now. They don't
That's
know
true.
These kids don't.
You don't see them.
No.
At all.
No. They're into 90s and 2000s cars, mainly. But you brought up a good point in the fact that there's a large, believe it or not, contingent of enthusiasts from the that are into the 1980s cars.
Correct.
And
Because they think they're really cool. They're boxy.
Yes.
Okay, and they're large.
Right.
And that to them is like old school.
yeah.
See?
Well, and it just kind of goes along. But I
Yeah.
mean, back, and because you're just a little bit older than me. Not much, but a little bit older than me.
Are you sure?
Well, he described me when he said old and boxy. I thought he was talking about me.
Well,
Yeah. But it's no different than it was back in the 60s.
Don, the only difference is that here we go, history, we would work on the cars ourselves. If we wanted a part, we didn't go to the dealer. We went to the junkyard.
Yeah.
And that was our
parts warehouse.
Yeah, okay. Or, as we used to call it, midnight auto sales.
Right?
We would remove things from cars that were on the side of the road. And I think the statute of limitations is over for me as far as the things I acquired. But I don't know how many of the younger boys and girls have the passion and knowledge to work on the cars. They put a chip in them, okay, and they put a loud muffler on them, and they think they've done something.
Well, there is that, and I'm sure that there is that segment, but some of the guys that we talk to, yes, they do put chips in them, but then they get the laptop out.
Yep.
And then they tune that motor.
The curve.
Yeah, they put the different curve in it, if you will.
Correct.
A good friend of mine that I work with, he has a brand new, basically, Honda Civic R-Type. It's a bad little car. There's no doubt about it. So he decided that he was going to goose it up. Now, he didn't change the turbocharger yet, but he put a larger downpipe on it.
Oh.
And it's apparently increased the horsepower. He doesn't know by how much yet because he hasn't had it on the dyno. He has a friend of his that he works with that knows about tuning the chip that's in it. So it's just a different way. Back in our day, I think, a lot of the cars that we had 35,000 miles on a car, it was junk. I mean, the engine was ratted out. Well, today, 235,000 miles, if you change the oil in it, the engine's still good.
Right, nothing to it.
Right. So there's not a whole lot of engine work to do unless you, of course, want to, put a blower on it or a set of headers or whatever the case may be. But the engines last a long time.
It's the quality of the components they're putting in it.
Well, yeah, and the way that they're manufactured. So,
Yeah, but in our day, John, we used to change complete engines out.
of course.
We and where I was in Long Island, we took overhead valve engines from a junkyard, from an Oldsmobile or a Cadillac, put them in a Ford, and we would call them Fordilacs. And we wanted the flathead engine out and put the overhead valve engine
Sure.
in for racing.
Absolutely.
Okay? I don't think the younger kids today do that.
No,
As far as engine
there's no
changes.
reason to.
No, you're right. No, yeah, it's because electronics and the ability to fix things without taking things out.
Well, here's what I see. You would take a World War II belly tank off of a bomber and produce it into a car. Now, the new thing is the mirrored wrap. That's
Yep.
the new thing.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I look back on my
Different direction.
Well, yes. And,
It is.
When I bought my Corvette, ordered it from the factory new, took delivery on it in October of 1976. It was a 77 model, had no horsepower, but nothing did back then because they had all been pretty much.
Smog killed.
Yeah, absolutely. It was awful. But I thought it was something, and apparently other people did too. And I worked on that. I didn't do anything to the paint, polished it up, made it look good. But, first thing I think I did was put a set of headers on it. Then it was a different carburetor, and then a different manifold, and then a different distributor. I mean, I did my own thing, as we all have throughout all of the years, including from your era. They didn't have overhead valve engines that at the time, and the only way that you could do it in an older car was to go and find an overhead valve engine and put it in there.
Exactly. And alter the car to accept that engine.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Motor mounts and everything.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, had to make your own because it was
Yeah.
you didn't call up Summit and say, "Hey, I need motor mounts for my 1980 Monte Carlo, 1990 Monte Carlo,
Right.
whatever it is."
Or the
I
midnight
don't
auto
want to put a
parts.
Cadillac engine in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
J.C. Whitney was our go-to
yeah. My
catalog,
God.
which they don't even have anymore. Everything's online.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
You know,
and that
I
makes it
like
so
the
much-
feel of it.
Well, of course, and but you can. It's very difficult for me to this day to look at car parts online because I want the catalog and I want the description. It's all online.
Are
Yeah,
you still
I want to
waiting?
fold the corner of the page so I'll know where to find it when I get a little bit further back.
Exactly.
So
Right.
you're still waiting for your Sears Christmas catalog?
Yeah.
to thumb through.
Yeah.
It's Christmas catalog. Yeah, not. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think really, as far as the actual part itself, I don't think really the enthusiasm has changed. I don't think that anything really has changed. It's just a different generation that it's hard for us to accept. But wasn't it hard for our parents to accept what we did back in the day? My dad said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm putting a set of headers on it." "What are headers?"
Yeah.
He had no clue what headers were. And
Right.
he worked for an engine manufacturer.
Right.
It was industrial engines, but he knew how all of that stuff
How it
worked.
worked.
Right. And so he's scratching his head. Or if you want to go back further than that, I took the engine off of a brand new lawnmower that he had bought and stuck it on a bicycle. And
The bike's in the back.
Yeah.
the bike, it
is.
truly is. But I mean, he'd never heard of such a thing. A friend of mine had one. I wanted to have one too. So you do what you got to do. And as a kid, you just do those sorts of things and don't even think about it.
Yep.
So little Billy wanted one, and you just jump right off the cliff with little Billy.
Yeah, but I didn't. I didn't.
He drove
I didn't have a
off.
dad that would go out and buy the mini bike. I had to build my own.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. We all did.
Yeah.
We all did. I mean, I took the from a dryer the belt and the slotted wheel and mounted that on the back wheel of a bike and put a little Briggs and Stratton motor.
Yeah.
Okay, and we made our own motorbike.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean that was the way we did it.
Yes.
Okay, I don't think kids today will do that. They'll buy one, like a scooter or a electric race thing, rather than build it, take an engine apart and actually put it together.
Well, it's because there's companies that do that for them now,
Yeah,
rather than experimenting and finding the things that are available to you to do that.
You can
Correct.
buy that stuff so cheap.
There was on In Wheel Time posted the old Schwinn bicycles with the stick shifts and everything. And there was one posted with a steering wheel. I put a steering wheel on my Schwinn bike.
Well, I saw one the other day. I don't know whether it was on our website or Facebook or whatever it was, but I saw somebody had taken an old tricycle and put a very old, small, one-cylinder engine on it, mounted it, and had a centrifugal clutch on it and a small drive wheel on the little bitty back wheel. Still had the pedals on the
I
front
love
of
it.
it. Yeah.
I love it.
You know, it looked great. Had the small little round gas tank with the screw on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want one.
I know. I do too. I don't know if I could fit on it anymore, but
How about the old Whizzer? The old Whizzer bikes that was very popular in the day. Okay, you had a little gas tank in between the pedals.
Yes.
Very, very expensive now, and I think there's that show that used to be the picker people, the picker guys. I think they picked like 20 of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is episodes ago, but
Cool.
remember that.
Yeah.
well, I mean, I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that I don't think that it has really changed the enthusiasm for fixing up your car. It's just shifted a little bit. I would never consider putting a wrap on my 20-year-old Corvette because it's got a nice paint job on it, and I'm good with it the way that it is. But here I am at this age. I'm good with the car.
Well, it's the priority too. We talked about the kids with the wraps. You know, what is the priority? You're looking at a $10,000 paint job versus $800 in material.
Well, I don't know. Those
know,
wraps
just-
can get very
they can.
expensive,
They can
and
get a
there
lot
were
more
some
money
there
than
that were pretty extensive.
It's very nice.
The
Very
interesting
nice.
part about that is the fact that some of them are already pre-cut. Others, I don't know how
Hand-cut, yep.
you would have the patience to do all of that, but they hand cut it for the fender, the hood, the roof, the doors, all of that stuff.
Bring the vet over to the garage. We'll do that.
No, I'm good. That is not going to happen.
The wrap that's on what we put on the truck for in wheel time, it's pieces. He didn't wrap the whole truck. You know, it's almost like decals. There's one on the hood, then he kind of
Correct.
put one on the side, and there's layers to it because, you know, that's like you say, that's some.
And that's all laser cut on a big machine.
Oh, yeah.
Once they put in the graphics and the artwork and they print it all out, I mean, that cost lots of money. These guys that didn't have the money, they just got the material and hand cut it themselves.
Well, that was actually started with like NASCAR and racing because they don't paint the NASCAR cars anymore. They wrap them.
Right.
And all the
Correct.
the series of racing, even the Formula Ones have the wrap stuff on.
Well, I know that the drag racing team that I worked for, the entire side of the 18-wheeler, all that was an applique, a wrap, if you will, and it had all the graphics and smoke coming off the tires and the graphic, and you couldn't do that, or you could with some very talented painter, but my gosh. Talk about the detail.
Talk about airbrush and everything
Oh, you
else.
talk
One single
tens of
scratch,
thousands
you'd
of dollars.
never
And the
repair it.
time.
Yeah.
And the time. It'll be ready by the last race.
Right.
You
So
know, we didn't have anything like that. I mean, with wraps, I remember the first flames that I had on one of my cars. It was out of a rattle can. You know, a little tape and a rattle can.
Did
What
you
else?
do it yourself?
Absolutely.
You did.
Yes.
I'd like to see that. You got pictures of that?
I may still have pictures of that.
Well,
I'll
you
have
need
to look
to,
and see.
you need
Or
to show and tell.
we can have you demo it on the vet. How you
Oh
did
yeah,
it.
I could do that.
Hell
I could do that.
no. Hell no.
Well,
With
you know,
the painter's tape, it works well.
Talk about paint. We used to be very proud of not painting the cars, but have it in primer. And there's
Yeah.
gray primer and a light.
And it was flawless.
Exactly. Now
was.
I've seen cars that have a dull
Matte finish.
matte finish.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we're going back, and everything. We used to take the chrome off, dechrome it, okay, to make it look slick, and box out the where the chrome was, and we used to call it.
Well, slick it up. Is,
Yeah. Now
Shading
what
it.
they're
Used to do
doing, they're not
shading it.
doing it. They're just blacking out the chrome. as far as the grill goes
yeah.
and the emblem.
Well, I don't know
now
whether
it's
you
all
ever
black.
saw it or not, but the '66 Corvair that I had, all the chrome was painted black.
Yeah, I never saw that.
Yeah,
yeah.
it was different, and apparently a lot of people liked it.
And now Ford is coming out with a special edition of everything blacked out. I read one of the pickup trucks.
Yep. Yeah. So
Cool. It's going back.
right.
Okay.
But remember who the guys are that are creating that. Those are the college graduate kids that are in their 20s at the Ford Motor Company.
Yeah, and they're thinking they invented it
And
Okay.
I don't know about that.
because they
but
don't know about dechroming and lowering. I mean,
Well-
they're getting the ideas, I think, from old pictures. We used to French the headlights in.
Perhaps.
Okay,
Yeah.
and nose and deck it. That was the term I used to dechrome it to make it look slick.
Yeah.
Okay, and electric doors where you push a button under the door and the door would open because there was no handle. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's all just evolved.
Yeah, exactly.
And
yeah.
and the Autorama, if you looked around at the people that attended, most of them were gray hairs like us,
Right.
and it kind of stood out to me this year. There were so many really nice rides that clearly, without the Autorama last year because of the pandemic, they had the time in the garage to putter around and do this and do that to their cars. And the car may have shown before, but the new look of the car has a whole new look to it.
The new display,
Freshen it
whatever
up.
you put together. Yeah.
Yep.
You're buying nostalgia.
Yes,
That's-
absolutely.
Yeah.
And but even today with the late model cars, that's what you're buying.
Correct.
Because you're not going to go to the showroom and buy that. If you're going to customize it, it's probably going to two or 3 or 4 or 5 year old car. Well, that's in the past.
Well, and later on, can we talk about the new?
We can talk about it right now.
Okay. Well, there's a new movement, and it goes to what you were saying as far as
And we love to have movements at our age.
it's
just
good.
saying.
It's very good to have movement.
Speaking of which, I need to move.
Yeah, no matter how large or small. Now there's a new wave coming in, and it's called rat mods, okay,
Oh.
or rat wood, term from Goodwood, which is the major show in England,
Yes.
okay. And now it's the younger people that are getting the 80s and 90s cars, which they think are cool, okay, because they're not slick now. They're square. They're boxy, like you were talking about, and they're having this big movement of shows, not necessarily clubs, like you said, Don, but shows where they have 700 or 800 cars and about 3,000 or 4,000 people attending just a show with these cars, the 80s and 90s cars. And, they have people, doing also the...
You do
the
realize that the 80s was 40 years ago.
it's hard, I keep forgetting that. I understand that, okay?
Yes.
Okay? All right.
I know. It's hard to remember.
My clock stopped, like 30 years ago, okay?
Yes.
Because, that's what I'm used to. Anyway, but I think New York Times had a huge article about the founder of it, and they think, the pop-up headlights were cool, okay? And, blacked out emblems on the
Or, yeah,
Mercedes.
body
or
color paint, sure.
Body color paint, So, as you said, it's changing. And we are now the old guard.
It's a new. I think that the 80s and 90s thing is a relatively new niche.
Yes.
And the fact that I do see them on some of the television shows, and you look inside. I remember how everything, even the dashboard, was all squared off. Everything.
Yeah.
They had the instrument
Right.
panel; it was squared off. The center console, the center stack, everything was all in squares.
Correct.
Back in the 80s.
Yeah.
I think Oldsmobile still had the Olds 98 or 88 or whatever it was as the big car.
Oh, yeah.
98,
Oh, yeah. 98. And the Roadmaster.
Oh,
The
beautiful
4
car.
portholes.
Sure.
Yeah.
And some of those were 70s cars. I mean, it's all evolved. And we did see some of those cars at Autorama. And they were all decked out, slammed to the ground, but very neat because you didn't realize at the time how big they were, especially on the inside. You know, you talk about that car of yours where the front seat lays down and comes into a bed.
The Nash.
The Nash.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you didn't need to lay down any seats because the back seat was wide enough that you could stretch out in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had the package shelf in the back.
That's
to
right.
put
So if
stuff
you
on.
needed, if you needed more room, you could just move up there.
Well, yeah, and you know, it's the evolution of the interior, the comfort. I mean, the seats, okay, and the dashboard, and the availability of 4 doors opening, suicide doors they call them.
Right.
You know, it was an easy way to get in and out of a car, much easier than the conventional way. And of course,
Not
Ralph
nearly
Nader-
as safe, but
No, well, Ralph Nader said, if you're going 40 miles an hour and then you open the door, well, you'll go 40 miles an hour in any car and you open the door, it's dangerous. Okay.
Yeah.
He also took the hood ornament off because he said, if you get hit by a Cadillac, that hood ornament might hurt you even more. Well, you get hit by a Cadillac, okay, going 30 miles an hour. Don't worry about the hood ornament, okay? Worry about the big, massive bumpers,
Yeah.
okay, and the chrome grill.
Yep.
So.
What do
it's
they call
evolution.
those, Dagmars?
Dagmar bumpers.
Dagmar
That's correct.
bumpers.
Yeah. You say Dagmar, they don't know what
See?
you're talking
There
about.
you go.
Yeah, right.
I didn't realize
Mike,
that.
let me explain to you. Dagmars are the things that...
yeah. How it works. And,
He wouldn't.
and when you say Dagmar, you automatically go like
You gotta
that.
go
You're
like
right. You're right.
Huh.
Yeah. An old term.
Dagmar. Wasn't that some cartoon character or
No,
something?
it was a woman.
Yeah?
It was a woman.
And she had rather large
Dagmars.
Dagmars. And it looked like
I think
a Dagmar.
I'm going to have to look that up.
Look up Cadillac.
No, I'm going to look up Dagmars.
Yeah, Dagmar.
And see, I'm only 32, so how would I know?
Right, you wouldn't know anything about that, but that's our job is to sit here and school you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, terms. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, sorry,
No problem.
I hit the wrong button. Now you're good, Morris. I'm sorry.
No problem.
So I'm going to Google that. Let's see what it comes.
Let's see if we're up to speed here.
And he's going to swipe right as a like.
Dagmars on cars. Dagmar bumper from Wikipedia. Shall we go there?
Yeah,
Let's
please.
go.
Oh,
Go
of
ahead.
course, we've got to come up with all of this crap that you've got to go through. Hey, did you know whatever? Dagmar bumpers, also known as bullet bumpers, is a slang term for chrome conical-shaped bumper guards that began to appear on the front bumper grill assemblies of certain American automobiles following World War II, mainly in the mid-50s.
Yep. And once you saw them, you didn't forget them.
Derived from the notable physical attributes of Dagmar, a buxom early 1950s television personality
Right.
known for low-cut gowns and conical bra cups. She was amused by the tribute. So there was a woman named Dagmar.
Yeah. Of
And
course.
if anybody out there's dated her, let us know.
Was
Yes.
that you, Stein?
No.
Did you ever get her autograph?
I was too busy with my cars. My
Of course,
hot
you know,
rods.
I press on Dagmar. Here she
There
is,
she is.
American actress. Oh, my. Yes, there. No.
Yes.
Don't scroll away. Hi, reader. Virginia Ruth Jenny Lewis, born in 1921, died in 2001, known professionally as Dagmar, was an American actress, model, and television personality. In the 50s, she became one of the first major female stars of television, receiving much press coverage.
I wonder why.
So they actually,
Yes.
they actually created the bumper style
Yeah,
from
well,
that?
well,
I think
they
at least
created
that's
it.
the story.
No,
Yeah,
not because of that. They just resembled it, and because she was
So
famous
prominent.
at the time,
Yeah.
that it just kind of connected.
Kind of
and then-
connected
right,
to. It makes for a good story.
Right.
Well, it was very prominent on her and also the car.
Every time you say that, Ron, you do your hands.
Well, because you have to do
You
that,
have to
okay?
do that.
Of this era, you go Dagmar. Dagmar.
I miss Conrad. He would have something to on this.
Maybe best that Conrad's not here for that.
Let's see what he is doing, what
no.
he's posting right now.
Oh, boy.
Here we go.
Yes, well, he hasn't posted anything yet, but we're keeping an eye on it. I think he's
We're on
busy.
Conrad watch.
We are, yes. Conrad comment.
Yeah.
You know, that may be a new segment for us. Conrad comments. And we could come up with things like Dagmars. Conrad, do you know
Do
what
we have
Dagmars are? I learned something new today. I did not
did
know about
too.
Dagmars. That's why we have you around,
I just thought
Stein,
it was
to
a front
educate
bumper.
us. Did you really? I didn't know
mean,
that those
just-
were called, because my aunt and uncle, who were pretty well off, I never forget I think it was the 55 or 56 Cadillac. They bought a new Cadillac every year, and it had the
I like those
big
people.
black rubber Dagmars on the front of that
Yeah.
Cadillac.
But never knew that's what they were called.
I didn't have any clue either.
Wow.
You guys,
the bumper.
I'm telling you
you're
what.
too young.
I know.
Too young.
Yeah, that's what it
Knuckleheads.
is. So what other kind of little goodies do you have for us today that you would like to educate us about?
Oh, wow. Well, you're putting me on the spot.
Did you
Let me
finish
think
your
about
article?
something.
Did you
No,
finish-
I actually didn't because I was interrupted. But
Well, I can't imagine.
nothing new in this.
happens.
Nothing new in this group.
Well, I'll tell you what. So you save that because
Yes.
we've got you here for the entire
You see,
3-hour
Don?
show.
You see, Don, you put me on the spot.
Have
and then
another
off.
kolache. Have a donut.
Yeah, I
Very,
got you.
very sorry about that,
Did you
Mr.
get water?
Stein.
I do.
We
Thanks.
have refreshments.
I
The
could-
green room. If you need makeup, we've got a makeup.
Okay.
We
good,
want to
but
make
I-
sure that you're happy and comfortable. And if you need anything, I've got some TX whiskey in there.
People say I'm happy here. I say I'm happy I'll be anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's that. All right, time now for some of the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Ford Motor Company recalling about 125,000 Bronco Sport and Escape vehicles in North America over a defect with the rear brake linings that could affect braking performance. The recall covers vehicles from the 21 to 22 model years. And the rear brake linings on those vehicles might have been manufactured incorrectly. And during certain situations, the driver may have to apply more brake pedal force, and the distance required to stop the vehicle may be extended, increasing the risk of a crash. So be looking forward to that notification in your mailbox if you own one of those. Some other recalls. Incorrect seatbelt webbing guide installed on the Toyota Sienna for the 2022 model year. Volkswagen Atlas and Atlas Cross Sport for 20 and 21. The blocked drain tube may cause airbag deployment. Oops. Bunch of Hondas from the 2021 model year, the Accord, the CR-V, the Insight, the Ridgeline seatbelt retractor may malfunction. And that's the case with many other manufacturers. You know, people think that car manufacturers are manufacturers. They're not anymore. They haven't been for many decades. They are assemblers. And so they contract these parts out to be made, and then they take them and they stick them on a car. Well, some of them are good, some of them are not so good. Upper control arm not tightened properly on the Porsche Taycan for the model year 2020. I thought this was a pretty interesting story, and actually I'm going to save that story till next hour because it's a little bit lengthy and I want to tell you all about it. Stellantis CEO says the EV, electric vehicle cost burden, is beyond the limits for automakers. And we've been talking about the billions of dollars that they're spending on EVs per company.
Yes.
We're going, where did all this money come from? Well, apparently it's not coming.
Well,
and so
neither is the market.
not yet, but they're all going to be making one.
Well, but that's because they're going to force the market instead of letting the market develop. But anyway, another story for another day.
Yes, it truly is. All right, now time now for a break here on the In Wheel Time program, and we're going to have more right after this.
It's a very special Christmas Tailpipes and Tacos Car Cruise In, Saturday, December 18th at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy. Bring a toy for Star of Hope and have breakfast on us. Tailpipes and Tacos will award trophies for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and Best Modern Classic. It's the Great Christmas Cruise In on Saturday, December 18th, so make plans now. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest cruise in, and this one brings it all together for Star of Hope in a Toys for Breakfast Christmas special. Bring a toy and get a free Lupi Tortilla a breakfast, plus trophies for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and Best Modern Classic. It all happens at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Get your ride ready for a very special Christmas cruise-in Loopy style. It's Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, December 18th, 8 to 11 a.m. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Let's celebrate the Christmas season together at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Toys for a free Loopy breakfast, Saturday, December 18th, 8 to 11 a.m. We'll see you then, weather permitting. If you're in charge of your company's small, medium, or large business anywhere in the U.S., let the On Hold Company help you retain customers and promote your business on your telephone system. Promote special sales or company info when placed on hold. The On Hold Company provides custom on-hold messages with professional male or female voices, licensed background music with no long-term contract, no monthly recurring bill, and updates your messages as needed. Call the On Hold Company at 713-223-HOLD or go to onhold.net. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com.
Celebrating 10 years of award-winning car talk. It's the In Wheel Time Car Show. Just ahead, the Vehicle Reliability Report from Consumer Reports. Stay tuned for that. Ron Stein is here, and we'll talk about everything that our resident know-it-all has in his head this morning.
Learn something else.
We'll review our featured vehicle of the week, the 2022 Buick Envision. And we've got your weekly cruise-in calendar along with This Week in Auto History. We'll also have the stories making auto news headlines this week. Just ahead on today's In Wheel Time Car Show. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars. We need more, Jeff Zekin.
We do.
I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks for joining us today. Conrad's out, and he'll be back with us again next week. So next week we'll be here in the studio, and the following week we will be at Tailpipes and Tacos, very special Christmas cruise-in. And it's going to be a judged event.
Yes.
And it's also bring a toy and get a free Loopy breakfast. So that ought to be
This will be at the Katy location.
At the Katy location, yes, exactly.
And that's located?
In Katy. It's in Katy.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's on the Grand Parkway, or as they know otherwise as 99, the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard.
There you go.
So mark your calendars. Okay. Consumer Reports. His name is John Linkoff. John, good morning to you, and thanks so much for joining us. Great to see you.
Good morning, guys. Good to see you. Good to listen to you and watch.
Well, thanks. We are a cast of characters here, and we're gonna try to respect what knowledge you bring to the show today, because we love your magazine, and you always have some great information. And today, it's the annual Auto Reliability Data survey, if you will. And so let's talk about that. And you've got them divided up into different categories, and I'm going to kind of let you lead this discussion. And wherever you want to start, let's talk.
Yeah, sure. Some background.
Please.
What we have in our magazine.
Yep.
What we have on our website. We survey our members. So we have data from our members who actually go out and buy these cars. It's not that we bought one or we have a press car that had a bad whatever, a piece fell off or, it stalled out, and we're using that data. We actually use data from people who own these vehicles. They tell us their experience. So that's what it's based on.
How many people are there that contribute to this?
Sure. This year there's more than 300,000 split into.
Holy Toledo! It's half the country.
Well, not quite there, but it's statistically large enough. I mean, look, I'm no stats analyst. Let's put it that way. I'm more of a car guy and I'm a writer.
Right.
But it's a statistically valid survey.
Very
sample
significant.
sizes
Yeah,
are large enough.
Sure.
So yeah, we look at across the industry. We've got data on the 28 brands. From Lexus and Mazda, Toyota at the top. They're the most reliable brands. Rounding at the bottom, brand-wise, Jeep, Tesla, and Lincoln, their vehicles haven't been as reliable.
Don't you find that
Lincoln.
surprising that an electric Tesla is not that reliable?
So that you may have read the report and teed me up for a good answer here, because while the electrics may have less maintenance, as you guys know, look, no oil, not the coolant changes, it's just not the same things that a conventional vehicle has to do. They still have a lot of technology, and technology is where the cars are having more problems today. So they're having issues with electric systems, whether it's the doors, whether it's the windows, particularly when you have more power operated systems like that. Tesla's also just had some issues with their cars, with basic stuff, with assembly process, paint problems. So, it's those are flaws, and it may not inhibit the driving of the vehicle, but it's still a problem. You have to take the car back and get it repainted, a brand new car.
Well, I think one of the things about Tesla in particular is the fact that they haven't had the history about painting cars. Granted, the technology is there, but can they execute the technology? And I think that it's a growing pain.
It certainly is. And it's kind of, I like to look at it in the sense of just like what we see with the just-in-time delivery with chip manufacturing right now.
Yes.
Is impacting.
Right.
The keeping costs low, so they're not having inventory, et cetera, but also with the manufacturing process where you're able to make so many running changes, that also opens up running problems. And that's, what you're seeing with that type of thing. Lincoln is just, there's a Ford Explorer, for example, similar to the Aviator, same platform. That's been they've both been problematic vehicles. The Nautilus, just having issues with those kind of first and second year models. And one of the things that we've always talked about is, look, skip that first. It may be exciting to get that brand new car first on the block, but that's when all manufacturers have teething issues, whether it's, Toyota, and they're known for having reliable vehicles, also because they just tend to run the same, much of the same platform for years and years and years, the same 3.5 V6, the same 6-speed automatic transmission with tweaks. They still have first year issues. Their reliability drops. So that's why we saw similar things with Ford and Lincoln, for example.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because in my experience, and I used to work for a car dealership here in Houston a long time ago, and even then there were issues with first-year cars, and there always has been. And somebody says, well, I want to buy me a new car. What do you think about this one? And it's a brand new model. I said, why don't you just wait for another year? Hang on to what you got, or go buy a different model. That's always been my suggestion, because, like you said, got to work out those bugs.
Yes, certainly. I mean, everyone gets into their car and they expect it to turn on and run and drive, and you're driving a computer nowadays over rough roads in varied temperatures. Look, you guys in Texas, you're going from super hot to snow, unfortunately, once in a while.
That's right.
And everyone expects the car to be, abused. You're not taking your MacBook or your IBM computer, your ThinkPad, and banging it around, but that's what you're doing with the car. And, so not only is it that element of it, but just getting it right when you're building it, it takes a bit of time. I mean, there's thousands of parts. It's a complex product.
Well, John, you're a guy that drives new cars just like we are, and as well as I do, that one of the most baffling things about the new technology is voice recognition. I can sit all day and go through the whole learning process with the stupid car, and even though I say the word 10 times, when it comes to actual use, it doesn't understand what I'm saying.
Right.
And it's not that I'm mumbling or stumbling or anything like that. It's just so frustrating. Now, they have made significant advances, but that is one of the things that is glaringly still behind the times.
No, certainly. And you're going to see with infotainment systems and, as an extension of the voice recognition systems, the technology just keeps advancing further and further. And then you see that older system that comes out that doesn't have natural voice recognition that many of the manufacturers now have in their vehicles. And it is a stumbling block. It's a major stumbling block. And particularly with driving a variety of cars, there's always nuances as well. So if you're going from, you have your Chevrolet Trailblazer, for example, you just bought, but you're getting out of a Chrysler product like a Jeep Compass or something like that. It might be slightly different, and you have to almost reteach yourself how to talk to the car. instead of having the car understand you. So that is a challenge as well, just in the satisfaction and usability side of owning a vehicle.
And the other thing, in addition to that, is the fact that as the technology progresses, it doesn't mean that the manufacturer goes back and retrofits a vehicle that may be 5, 6, 7 years old. They're going to keep that technology that they built that car with, even though they've progressed with a new car and things have changed in the infotainment system, and voice recognition being one of them.
That's exactly right. One of the things we see is that a vehicle such as the Infiniti Q50, for example, it's a reliable vehicle. It's been built for a long while. It's a fine performer, but some of the technology is so antiquated in the Infiniti system, the infotainment system, that gets very low owner satisfaction rates. I mean, there's other factors involved as well, but just things such as that, because there's a huge investment and because of the lag time for development, people ask me all the time, why don't they just have a slot where you could drop an iPad or your phone in? Because the systems are so old and they're so out of date by the time they even hit the dealership for the first time, let alone 4 or 5 years down the road with that model. It baffles consumers why they just can't drop their own device in and just call it a day.
So let's get back to the Consumers Report's annual reliability data index, if you will. Lexus is number one. That really doesn't surprise me. Does it surprise you?
It's not surprising in the sense of, like we talked about earlier with Toyota, Lexus, Toyota being the parent company, they run a simple-ish product line. They have a big truck, the Tundra, but they don't have 2500, 3500 series. They don't have whole lines of sports cars. They run a more simple product line. They use a lot of similar platforms or few similar platforms. And they've worked it out to the point that the least reliable vehicle in the survey, the Lexus UX for Lexus, is still well above any vehicle, many vehicles out there. Their top vehicle had no problems, a Lexus GX, but tied with the Chevrolet Trailblazer, the new small SUV, no problems reported by any owners either. So that's a big feather in Chevrolet's cap.
And I find it interesting that there is a Cadillac that is one of the most reliable models, but it has been out for a while, and that's the Cadillac XT5.
Yes.
Yep, the XT5 SUV, a very nice model, tested well as far as in a road test. Not the sportiest, not the most luxurious. It's just kind of that in-betweener where it doesn't do one thing huge at the negative, result for something else. But what you see is that a few years of development, a few years being out there, working out the issues, pays dividends for an auto manufacturer because it wasn't recommended last year for reliability. So they've worked out those problems. The new ones are launching well and going through their first 6-8 months well with few problems. And they're also addressing the previous issues for owners. So those have had lifted. People who already own them have reported back that their vehicles are now more reliable because the issues have been worked out.
Now, some of for instance, on the least reliable list, the worst, one of them is the Tesla Model Y, the Chrysler Pacifica. There's a vehicle that's been around a while. You'd have thought that they'd have got the bugs worked out of it.
Yeah, what you see is just sometimes focus. What with manufacturers is that Model Y, they've still not. It's a more recent version, a newer version of, for example, the Model 3, but it's having some of the same teething issues. Screens failing. It's having the paint issues. It's having just hardware issues. The drivetrain of the vehicles are fantastic. We're looking at the Model S, the new Model S, and just how as an EV Teslas are great. It's the other stuff. Some of the driver assistance systems, etc. That's where you see the problems, and it's the manufacturing process that's hurting Tesla, really, not the driving experience. Chrysler Pacifica is a hard one to say. Why is a longer in the tooth, not particularly long, but an older model having issues? Is Chrysler Stellantis, stretched with its resources? Focusing on launching all the new Jeeps and not putting as much into the Chrysler, the Pacifica. That may be one thing.
Yeah. Another thing that surprised me is the Chevrolet Silverado and the GMC Sierra 1500. Now, I know that those are recently redone vehicles, but my gosh, body on frame technology. It's definitely an old way of making a vehicle, and it surprises me that one, I'm not a big fan of the design, but the other thing is that it really is the least reliable model in that list. I mean, it's a shame that it's that way.
Yeah. So what we saw with that in the similar Tahoe, because the similar platforms,
yes.
shared platforms,
yep.
They had engine and transmission issues, which is kind of a rare thing these days. Most of the time, it's electrical. That just tends to be what a lot of the problems are. They rise up. These are transmissions that have been rebuilt and replaced, which is a shame. Which is kind of, to your point, it's an established process. So why is this happening? And it's multiple reports, and it's across the different vehicles as well. So it's not as if, well, it's a weird batch with the Silverado. Why are you tagging these others? It's going across the similar models. So there was an issue with at least a batch, a block, or whatever of engines and transmissions are affecting all of those vehicles.
And the Corvette, now granted, Corvette is a relatively new vehicle, but you would have thought that down the way here that they'd have got those first-year bugs worked out. Now they're coming out with, 1 million horsepower versions of them, and they've still got issues.
Well, so first of all, my father is a big Corvette guy. In fact, I grew up with a...
Careful.
Sorry. He went to the Corvette Museum. I grew up, I taught track day instruction with Corvettes. I was 4 months old, put in the back of a 65 and driven out to Chicago. So that's my background with some cars.
Right.
So he wants to buy ours when we're done testing it. The issue that I think affected Corvette was that it came in, first of all, right? It's a first year vehicle. So,
right.
We already established that, look, getting it with Chevy, they took down the entire line at Bowling Green. They had to build a new line to build this car. Then COVID hit. So you had a very, very truncated first model year.
Yep.
They only made a few thousand. Pauses, delays, stops. Then they go into the second model year, but they really didn't have a humming line. And there are reports outside. I haven't seen our verbatims say this from our survey. So, respondents haven't said this specific thing, but there is a lot of discussion about filings in the transmission, metal shavings, and you have to replace transmission fluid at a very specific time. And it dovetails with the data that we saw with transmission replacements. So while people haven't said that that's what they were told by their dealer, there are outside reports among Corvette enthusiasts and forums about these vehicles having transmission issues, and that's what we saw as well. So I'm not using that to validate our work, because our work stands for itself, but it is something that's out there both in the enthusiast world as well as more mainstream, Consumer Reports ownership.
Well, it's the integrity of the survey. The integrity of the survey matters.
Yeah. So the other thing that I know that you have experienced this as well, being a guy that drives different new cars every week. People come up to you and say, if you were going to recommend a vehicle to me, what would it be? And I said, well, one that you like. That is the most important of all. What you like. Yeah. So you're the one that's going to have to sit in that vehicle for 3 or 5 years or however long you keep vehicles. So you really need to like it. That's the first thing.
Certainly.
The other thing is that, I always ask them, well, what kind of vehicle are you looking for? You're looking for a sedan? You're looking for an SUV, a pickup truck? I mean, all of the different categories. And then it's kind of like, well, I said, is it a money thing? Okay, so how much money do you want to spend? Because there's all these different parameters that you really have to look at to give somebody your opinion. But most of the time, I kind of, like I'm doing now, hedging my bet, if you will. But I just got out of a Buick Envision, which is a luxury compact SUV. And I loved that vehicle. I think that it is a hit all the way. And I find it interesting that this is one of your top 5 domestic brand models that you guys are going, wow, well, this is a pretty good vehicle, and obviously your readers think the same thing.
Certainly. The first off, the second generation Envision, a big improvement for the line,
yes,
for the vehicle type. The first one, nothing against it, but it just was there. Buick benefits in a way sort of that Toyota does. I mean, they're obviously part of General Motors. But they have a small niche-y line. You know, they have a few vehicles focused on. Odd that the Enclave dropped so much. I'm digressing for a second. That it had drops, but it was a refreshed vehicle a year or so ago.
Right.
The Envision, again, has been out in the market long enough to have have sample size. But General Motors kept it very simple. The infotainment system is robust. GM's is one of the better infotainment systems out there.
Agreed.
They're not reinventing the wheel each time.
Yep.
And then as far as testing, it just does things very well. It's not the sportiest. It doesn't have a cushy old school Buick floaty suspension. It's composed enough without being harsh. So that's why it's scored very well. But yeah, I mean, it's just an example. Buick, if you've been watching our data, has always been floating around in the top 5, if not, top 10 definitely, but top 5, sometimes even top 3 auto manufacturers, depending on the year. People may say, oh, well, it's old in the tooth product, but they also benefit that GM introduces the Chevy version or the GMC version first, and then they introduce the Buick version. So just like Hyundai and Kia, Hyundai comes out with a model first. Kia tends to lag about a year. The Kias tend to be a little more reliable than the Hyundais because Hyundai figure out the issues. They work through the issues with that first year vehicle, and they apply it to the second year Hyundais and the first year Kias. Buick benefits from that as well.
Well, listen, I think we could spend the entire morning together talking about this stuff, but really the real go-to thing is get on to Consumer Reports and find out about this survey. It's Consumer Reports, and it's their survey among their readers. And so where can we find out more information and subscribe and all that sort of stuff, John?
Certainly. Appreciate that. So you can find it on newsstands. The issues are going to be on newsstands right now. But, if you're just sitting home online, consumerreports.org, cr.org, both of them work. cr.org/reliability will bring you right to our reliability survey. There is some free content. We are a nonprofit, so we have a subscription model. So you can pay for a 1-month subscription and read what you want and go through our site. And 1 month gives, you get not just cars, you get also everything else that we test. So it's a full service.
Well, I've been looking for a refrigerator, and this is where I need to go.
Exactly.
Feel free to send me an email. I'll be happy to direct you to the right person.
Look at this report. I mean, it's a very extensive report.
It really is. It really is.
We need one on Dagmars.
We don't need one on Dagmars. John, we certainly appreciate you spending the time with us this morning. Thanks so much. We love Consumer Reports. Stay in touch with us now and give us the latest when you got it.
Definitely. Have yourself a great weekend.
You do the same.
Thank you.
John Linkoff, Consumer Reports and Vehicle Reliability Survey. I love to talk to those guys. When we got this, I sent it right to Morris. We got to get them on. And thank you for that, sir. All right.
It was really good.
Cruise-in calendar. And I've been mentioning the Tailpipes and Tacos event coming up in a couple of weeks out at the Lupi Tortilla. Be sure, and if you're a cruiser, come on out and join us. We'll be doing our live remote from there. Do you have...
No, I do not.
Oh, you already did all of that. Okay, never mind then. So let's move on. We have the car review of the hour. It is the 2022 Buick Envision that I just mentioned. Here are the available trim levels. It comes in Preferred, the Essence, and the Avenir. I had the Avenir front-wheel drive. It's considered a small SUV. It's really Buick's midsize SUV, if you will. Seats 5 passengers, all new in 2021. Exterior features include modern but conservative overall design. We particularly like the high Zoot Avenir with just a touch of chrome and the really nice wheels, and that's a picture of it right there. Mm-hmm. Nice rear end with dual exhaust tips. Mm-hmm. Sporty, blacked-out version is available if you like that. Love the overall look. What could use improvement? Offer a GNX package.
What?
The GNX.
Yeah.
Just a thought. There you go, Buick. That's for you.
Okay.
Interior highlights. New, larger 10.2-inch touchscreen is an option. Great dash sculpting. Love the layout of the control surfaces. Good-looking, quilted, perforated leather seating surfaces on the upscale Avenir, which I had. And the front-to-back glass roof. That's pretty cool, too, if you're into that sort of thing. Cargo trunk room, perfect for husband and wife trips. With the rear seats up, you could take another couple with you and have plenty of room, I think. Although I will say that the back seat is a little tight, so make sure that it's a day trip, like going to Austin or San Antonio or something like that. What I liked about it, love the push-pull buttons for the transmission. Very well done. What could use improvement? Big question mark there because I don't know. Had a 2.0-liter inline four-cylinder engine, turbocharged. It turned out 230 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. You say, well, that's not much. Well, so here's the payoff there. Through the 9-speed automatic transmission, you get a tow rating of 1,500 pounds. And as far as fuel mileage is concerned, it's rated at 24 city, 31 highway for a combined of 26. I got 28.5 miles per gallon.
Wow.
Now, granted, 90 to 95% of mine is on the freeway, but it works for me. That was over 464.7 miles. I like plenty of power with that 9-speed automatic transmission, and I let the start-stop feature do its thing because it doesn't shudder to life at the stop sign, and you're going, what is that? That's the engine. It does start, but it's flawless, it's smooth, and it doesn't shudder to life. It just comes on like it's supposed to.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Ride and handling, I love the smoothness of this. What could use improvement? I think that the steering was a little over boosted. It's a Buick, and I just think that it's a Buick. Just leave it at that. Pricing. Base trim price is $39,850. Price is tested $45,000. I love this SUV, and I would highly recommend it if you're into a small to mid-size SUV.
Told you.
That you go out and drive this thing, and I think that you'll agree with me. It's really nice. Base model price, you can get into one for $31,800. Competitors, Mercedes-Benz GLC. One of the Lexus models, and I didn't write it down which one it is, but I know there is one. Mazda CX-5 also.
No XT4? Cadillac XT4?
No, well, okay. XT4. I'm not a big fan of the Cadillac XT4.
Okay.
And I think that they're built on the same platform, to be honest with you.
Much.
But I think that the Buick offers more value than the Cadillac.
Cool.
I remember driving the Cadillac, and it just didn't have the Cadillac feel. Like your car or the XT5. Love the XT5.
Yeah.
Always have since it came out. But
Good stuff.
So that's the review of the 2022 Buick Envision Avenir. Hey, the In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available from your favorite podcast source. In Wheel Time Car Show continues right after this quick break.
It's a very special
letting them all roll?
Christmas Tailpipes and Tacos Car Cruise-In.
Letting them all
Saturday,
roll?
December 18th at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy. Bring a toy for Star of Hope and have breakfast on us. Tailpipes and Tacos will award trophies for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and Best Modern Classic. It's the Great Christmas Cruise-In on Saturday, December 18th, so make plans now. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest cruise-in, and this one brings it all together for Star of Hope in a Toys for Breakfast Christmas special. Bring a toy and get a free Loopy Tortilla breakfast, plus trophies for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and Best Modern Classic. It all happens at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Get your ride ready for a very special Christmas cruise-in Loopy style. It's Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, December 18th, 8 to 11 a.m. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Let's celebrate the Christmas season together at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Toys for a free Loopy breakfast, Saturday, December 18th, 8 to 11 a.m. We'll see you then, weather permitting. If you're in charge of your company's small, medium, or large business anywhere in the U.S., let the On Hold Company help you retain customers and promote your business on your telephone system. Promote special sales or company info when placed on hold. The On Hold Company provides custom on-hold messages with professional male or female voices, licensed background music with no long-term contract, no monthly recurring bill, and updates your messages as needed. Call the On Hold Company at 713-223-HOLD or go to onhold.net. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com.
Celebrating 10 years of award-winning car talk, it's the In Wheel Time Car Show. Ron Stein is our in-studio guest today. We'll also have This Week in Auto History, I hope. And we'll get you updated on the stories making car news this week. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars. We need more, Jeff Zekin.
We do.
I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks for joining us today. Conrad's off. He'll be back next week. And in the studio today, an honored guest, Mr. Ron Stein, good friend of the show for 10 years, I guess, now.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, you were 10 years younger back then.
In mind and spirit.
Yeah?
Sure.
But what is it kind of like wine? You age like fine wine?
I'd like to think that. I hope.
And you
I
don't-
hope.
and you
I'm
don't-
I'm not wood in the barrel, okay?
Is
Yeah.
that where sourpuss came? The word the phrase
Sourpuss.
Sour wine sours.
Well, yeah, because
Could be.
once you pop the top on it, it's
You gotta
kinda-
drink
yeah,
it.
you got to
Yeah.
drink it.
Nice.
I don't know where I was going to go with that, but I'm sure it was good somewhere.
Oh,
along
I
the line.
guarantee it was good, Don. Because you only do good.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Sure.
Ask any of my wives how good I did.
Let me get my feet up off the ground because it's going to get deep. in
Deep,
here.
yeah. It is.
I got
all-
my boots on.
Yeah. Well, that's good. No flooding allowed in here.
I got it.
Ron Stein. We haven't talked about Ron's cars, so Ron has a collection of fine automobilia and automobiles. And so I thought maybe before we get into that we could kind of go over the list of automobiles that you have in the Ron Stein collection. And you can start where you want.
Well, I think the easiest for me would be to go.
Just pick one.
Okay. The earliest one I have is a 1936 British Standard 9 horsepower. And the reason it's 9 horsepower is that in England at the day, they taxed you on a number of things. One was the amount of horsepower that you had in an automobile.
Are you serious? That's how they did it?
Yeah. Well, you know the term taxable horsepower.
Okay.
And that's where it came from. So if you had a Rolls Royce, okay, you were taxed on the horsepower.
Out the
of that car.
wazoo.
Yeah. So the 9 horsepower was at rest. It wasn't at speed. So there was a 9 horsepower, and then there was a Flying 9, which was a slightly more horsepower.
Put that pen down.
And actually, the term was synonymous with the taxable things. How many windows you had and closets you had in England. Well,
Wow.
that's why in England you have large rooms with chiffon and hanging closets, and not a closet
Built
because
in.
It was because that was considered a room.
Well, you got to get
So there's a
you
room.
got to give the queen her due.
Well, and the money also.
That's what I mean, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So there were many things that were taxed that you didn't realize why they were taxed. Well, this 9 horsepower built in Coventry was a beautiful car. It had a sunroof in it, a sliding sunroof, 9 horsepower. So that was one of the cars. The next one is a 1937 Ford 500 Coupe Deluxe. Rare in the sense they made a ton of them, but they were used as stock cars in the stock car racing. That was the feature.
What year is this?
1937. That was the car you liked.
Oh, yeah.
because of
That's
the
that's where I
headlights.
met you.
Yes, exactly.
With it broken down on the side of it?
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's how I met Ronnie.
Yeah, and they were used extensively for stock car racing.
Yes.
Up in Northland, probably here. And also moonshiners, bootleggers, loved them because they had a large trunk and they had the 85 horsepower V8
And
engine.
you would be familiar with that. No, it had the flathead.
The flathead, yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 85 horsepower V8.
Yeah.
And then I have a 1956 Continental Coupe, rare car. It only made 2,800.
Isn't that the
in 2
one
years.
that somehow it had bullet holes through the hood?
Mattress Mac bought one, but he didn't want anybody at the auction to know that he was buying it. So he sent his very well endowed Dagmar type secretary at the auction, and of course everybody knew who she was. Okay, so he bought Elvis Presley's car, Mark II. It was a white, triple white. And
But
the only-
you didn't own that.
No.
Okay.
But he asked me to identify it to make sure that he wasn't duped.
Yeah.
Because it was the only Mark II that had a white leather headliner. And the story went when he tried to start it one day, it wouldn't start, and he took his
Elvis.
pistol. Yeah, Elvis did it, and it shot through the hood. All right. Well, I identified the car. I saw all the numbers. I checked it had a white leather headliner, and then when I opened the hood, sure enough, right in the hood where the battery was, there was a patch underneath that it was Elvis Presley's car. So it was in a showroom on 45.
So you had one like it.
I had a coupe, yes.
Yes.
They only had made 2,800 of them. That car in 1956 was $10,000. You could buy a Cadillac and 2 Chevys for the price of that
I was going
car.
to say, that's really expensive.
Yeah, and we have a listing of every single owner of that car who bought them new.
Wow.
And it was like the who's who of the country.
Hell.
You know, it was like, the judges, sports figures, overseas, Shaws bought them.
The Dagmars of the time.
Dagmar, yeah, exactly. And then I've got a 72 Triumph Stag V8 with the original V8 engine. They put actually
Does it
Triumph
run?
it runs like a champ. It's got 2 carbs. They actually put 2 4-cylinder engines together and made a V8.
Is that how they did it?
Yeah, they did it. It was amazing. I'll drive it one day here, and you can take a look at it. 2 tops, soft and hard. And then I've got a 67 Studebaker pickup, Champ.
I love that Studebaker, the
has
yellow one.
sliding, yeah, it has a sliding windows
Yep.
in the back. Probably the first truck that had a sliding glass windows in the back, and then it was copied by many, many manufacturers. I've got a 46 Ford Woody station wagon and a 47 Woody wagon, which is actually a Nash Ambassador. I call it my mother's nightmare and my teenager's dream because you can fold the seat back from the back of the front seat to the trunk, a complete double bed. And I've got some accessories that are kind of rare.
Well, I was waiting for you to say it. I've got some real experience back there.
Well, I never, if you pulled up to your date's house in the day, and your dad, the father looked out and said, Nash, going to the drive-in, you take my Oldsmobile. You're not going to go to the drive-in in the Nash Woody. Okay?
Well, like the Oldsmobile was much better.
Well, at least it had
It didn't fold out into a bed.
exactly a complete double bed.
It could have memory maker back seats, but it was not a bed.
And it didn't have,
Memory maker back seats.
and it didn't have the name Woody in it either.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. And I got within a month, I got 2 accessories for that car, which was kind of interesting.
Can you talk about them in public?
Yeah. I got 2 original plastic cases that says Nash double bed mattresses, unused, and 2 window unit screens for the back windows.
so you could hide from everybody back there.
No, not screens. These are screens that the mosquitoes wouldn't come in.
Oh, I
They
see.
weren't blackout
Bugs- I
screens.
Well, you see where my mind is
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. Evening, drive-in, the screens. Yeah, I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I've got a 56 Continental convertible Mark II convertible, but it was a one-off. It was they only made one. This isn't the one. This is a model of it, convertible Mark II. Then I have a let's see.
So
I know you're going to ask me the question. Where do you store them?
Yeah.
Okay. 6 of them I store at the place called the Carriage Car Clubhouse on Bingle Road, and it's just for people
think
say
I've
you're
been there.
collectors.
I've been there.
Yes, you have.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it's just for people like me and other people who are a little bit cuckoo, collecting cars who want to work on them. There's a lift there, and it's clean. It's elevated for no flood. It's fenced in. You have a key to come in. You can go in at 3 o'clock in the morning. If you want to polish your car, you can do it. It's very, very large.
You know,
very
I
good.
would really worry about you going in at 3 o'clock in the morning and polishing your car. There's
Well-
some other hidden agenda there I'm not quite familiar with.
Well, you know, when you have to get.
Have you ever done that?
I have, getting ready for either a photo shoot or a car show. Okay.
Okay. Well, there's a good excuse.
that movie, the show about Christine. Christine was kept in a very similar facility where they had people that owned it, and it was a shop. It was dirty, but different than yours. But
Right.
that's what that
Dirty in what sense?
dirty,
Get out of that
floors and
mode.
just dingy looking type dirty.
No, this is clean.
Yours is pristine.
It is clean. Yeah.
What-
It is.
What about this that we're looking at there? What is that?
Oh, that is a 1946 Alvis, a British car.
Sorry.
Oh, no problem. It's a British car. Today was a perfect day to drive it, being it was very.
Do you
very-
have this car?
I have it. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a 3-position drop head coupe.
What does that mean?
DHC, drop head coupe. It means it's a coupe.
What is a 3-position drop head?
The top. Okay. The top goes all the way to the windshield.
And then you can roll it halfway back.
Halfway, like there's a chauffeur.
And then you get all the way.
back. Yes, correct. Yeah. So it's a 4-cylinder. It's a very sturdy car, very luxurious. I feel a little bit like a mailman because it is right-hand drive.
Oh, very cool.
Good on right-hand, turns, but left a little sketchy. It has the original trafficators, which is their term of a signal,
Turn signal.
Comes out of the-
and the arms come up and light.
Yep.
That is perfect for you.
Volkswagen vans had those.
Well, and that, it was called in German. It was called Machsnix.
Yeah.
Machsnix. Yeah, you up, yes, and no. Okay, and they're electrically operated, and the front looks a little bit like a Bentley. Seeing the big headlights.
Yep.
And the driving light in the center and the 2 horns. So it's a luxurious car. It's a very nice car.
Now that was taken where Keels and Wheels?
That was one of the first Keels and Wheels. Yeah, I was right in front of the
Good
clubhouse.
catch there. I sort of recognize it now, but I didn't pay any attention before.
Yeah.
Candace-
I've got three. I got 3 British cars. The 36 British Standard. Okay, I have that one. Then I have the Stag V8. Okay, and so I know about.
Do any of
Lucas.
them have any Lucas
All of them.
distributors or carburetors?
All of them.
Are they absolute nightmares like I've heard?
We call Lucas the Prince of Darkness.
Yeah.
That's why the Brits drink warm beer. They can't keep the refrigeration going to drink, cool beer.
What is up with that? Why were they so fascinated with doing business with Lucas when there weren't very reliable products that they turned out?
Well, it was British, and they very, very common to only use local people.
Exactly.
And he thought he invented electricity, and he thought he had the link on how to properly manufacture things for cars, and they never worked. In fact, Jaguar had Lucas when they first went to Ford, okay, and they converted it because it would never work. My 36 British Standard is 9 horsepower and Lucas 12 volt.
Oh, God.
Now, I'll tell you, on the
I'm
36
surprised it
British
hasn't burnt down.
Well, let me say this. You know the term when you dim your headlights, what's that switch called?
Dimmer switch.
Or the
Foot switch.
dip switch.
Dip switch, yes.
Okay, a little button.
I've been
on the
called
floor.
a dip switch
Well,
before.
okay, yeah, okay, all right.
Or something like that.
That's another term from the past. Okay.
Yes.
Why is it called a dip switch? Because on the steering wheel of British cars, there was a little button that said dip, and it would dip your headlight for the oncoming car.
Oh, it would
So it did-
mechanically lower the lights.
Well, rather than have a simple two-filament bulb,
Yes.
like you would normally think, gee, we'll put a two-filament bulb, and we hit that switch, it would lower it to one filament, which would make it lower intensity. No. When taking apart the headlight, they had a complete electromagnet in the housing of the headlight, and when you hit the dip switch, it would actually dip the entire reflector on springs down
Oh,
and
Lord.
up. Yeah, oh Lord is right. Okay, so typical Lucas. Okay, you would think two-filament bulb would be perfect. Okay, when it burns
So-
out, you just
So let me
replace the
ask
bulb.
you, is that what you have in this particular model car of yours?
Yes.
And
Yes,
so,
46.
so clearly you have taken this apart and tried to.
I want
repair-
to see what the dip switch actually did.
Yeah, tried to
Yeah.
de-dip it.
Now, once you took it apart, were you able to put it back together?
Yeah, it's very simple. It's an electromagnet with 3 springs, okay?
And it
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Sort of like putting in a Hurst shifter.
like a
a
ship in a
shifter.
Corvette.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now,
No, it's
talk-
not like that
okay,
at all.
Talking about that, let's talk about car clubs for 1 minute.
All right.
There are now car clubs that specialize in, if you have a car with a manual gear shift, that's the club. People who have manual gear shifts, okay, are special because they know how to work the manual gear shift.
Speaking
Okay?
of which, I think it was Conrad that posted on Facebook a picture of a valet sign where in front of some business that said, "No manuals allowed," because
exactly.
nobody knows how to use them.
Well, it's a great insurance thing as far as
Theft. It's a theft
thefts.
deterrent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, they're not going to steal it. 'cause
They
can't
look at the
drive it.
thing and they go, "What the hell's this?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't start it. Yeah, what am I going to do here?
Or 3 on the tree. You know, you say 3 on the tree. They go, "What's that?" They said, "Well, your shift is on the steering column."
And half the time
Okay.
they hang it in neutral the first time they try
Yeah,
it.
exactly, exactly. So that's some of my cars. I got a few other cars.
But
I got 12.
Candace Thackeray Sneed wants to go for a ride in that one that we had up there on it.
No problem. No problem.
So
there
Candy,
you
I've
go,
taken.
Candace.
You know what? I've actually taken 3 couples who got married and were asked to have this car, me drive it from the church to the reception.
Did you wear a little black hat?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
do you have
should
one of those
have.
black hats?
You know, I don't. I should.
Well,
You should.
Your
You would look
consolation,
good in that.
Your consolation prize today for coming in with a little black chauffeur's cap.
Perfect. I knew there was a donkey in this pile of. Yeah. Okay.
And the word of the day is
Dagmar. Perfect.
See, I learned something every time I get together with you. I always learn something new.
Wealth of
I've heard
information.
of Dagmars, but now I know what a Dagmar is, or
And-
Dagmars are.
And you actually confirmed.
I did through Wikipedia. God bless Wikipedia.
See that? They know. They knew about
It's
it.
on
You
the
didn't.
internet and Wikipedia. It's got to be true.
Exactly.
It's got to
exactly.
be.
Right. And something Don did not know about.
Well, I knew about them, but I didn't know that they had a name.
All right.
But
And
but
there was a person.
and a person that was attached to them, so to speak.
Well, no, really attached. Yes.
Very.
And
Yes.
the way that you have to say it.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
have to say it
Dagmar.
properly.
Dagmars. Well, I find that very interesting. I also find it interesting that the majority of your collection seems to be British cars.
Oh, no, only 3.
Well,
I've got 12. So only
okay,
3 are. Yeah.
a fourth of them.
Yeah.
But
Well,
why?
because the 36 British Standard was I bought it at a garage sale a block from my house, and my son and I pushed it into, my driveway.
Repair shop.
Yeah. And my son, okay, Dad, when are we going to put the small block Chevy into it?
We're make an
I don't
LS
think
out
so.
of it.
Yeah, right. I said, I wonder where he got that idea from. I wonder how that evolved.
Well, I hope that
mother.
you didn't do that.
Of course not.
No, he got it from his
But
mother.
now, the boys are older, and they say, Dad, you didn't retrofit any of the cars that you have as far as you used to have the Woodies, don't you? I said, yeah. Have you changed the engine? No, they're all natural. They're all original. They said, Dad, they're worth a lot of money now that they're original.
As long as you don't jack with them.
Yes. And I go, gee, that's a great idea.
I wish I would have thought of
Well,
that.
yeah, gee.
50 years
yeah,
ago.
Exactly. Yeah,
No,
right.
I tubbed it out and put an LS in it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So-
no. And I appreciate the LS conversions. I really do. I mean, if that's what you want to do,
Yeah.
that's fine. But I also think that there is a huge market and certainly worth more money if it's original.
No question
For
about it.
most cars. Now, if you buy some hunk of junk that's not worth
Mm-hmm.
anything and you put an LS motor in it, well, the only thing that you've lost really is all the money that you spent on the LS motor.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also, people ask me, what's your favorite car? And I say, the one that I want to drive starts.
That's always a
You
good
know,
thing.
use it.
Yeah.
You know.
By the way, have you had the 37 Ford crap out on you on the side of the road like it did when I met you that day?
You know, Don, I still have a problem with it overheating.
Really?
I really have to get the engine out and actually clean out the interior of it, as the guts of the engine, because I think rust has invaded the
Started clogging it
the
up.
clog-
Water
out.
jackets and
Yeah.
things.
water
yeah.
jacket and
There's not a radiator problem.
You know, it could be both. Could be both. So I'm going to do the
Yeah.
whole thing. You know, I mean, it's a reliable car.
Well, it's
It
not
starts
really
all
that
the time.
old. It's only a 1937.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Well,
right.
no, but I mean, I think in 1937, that by that point, I think that they were pretty reliable. At least
yeah.
Bonnie and Clyde thought so.
Yeah.
There's a 34.
Well, it still had a flathead V8 in it.
Oh yeah, and he actually. Clyde actually wrote a note to Henry
Henry,
Ford saying, "Thank you very much. It's so reliable. I can outrun all of the
police
police
vehicle.
cars." Yeah,
And
exactly.
who was what president used Al Capone's
Roosevelt?
confiscated vehicle for his parade?
Roosevelt.
Yeah, because
I drove in that car.
Did you?
Yeah, John O'Quinn bought that car, and we found out that the son of the painter who painted the car the original Chicago colors, which was green with black fenders, and he had a siren, and when they went through the streets, they thought it was a police car, okay, and had a fold-down back window. He actually had that car, and we found that the son of the painter was still alive, and the son of the painter was looking for that car, for reminiscence.
Yeah.
And we found him, and John flew him in to Houston to identify the car, and he said the car was perfect except one thing was wrong, and the trunk, which is actually a trunk on the back of the car, was bolted to the trunk holder. And he said, that's not correct. And we said, why? He said, because in the day,
could take
you
the trunk
pulled up,
off.
you went to the bellhop and you pulled up in front of the hotel, and they would take the trunk to your room.
Right. It was an accessory.
Accessory, exactly. And he said that should be unbolted. And he actually drove in the car, and tears came to his eyes. He said, I remember I was a young child. I was sweeping the floor in my father's paint shop in Chicago, and a big guy came in with two bigger guys on either side of him. And he looked at me, and he said, who are you? And he said, I'm Dad's, son, John's son. And he took money out of a $5 bill out of his pocket, and he gave it to me. He said $5 in the
was a lot
day.
of
It was a
money
lot of
back,
money.
yeah.
And he said, I remember it because my mother bought me my first set of knickers.
Oh.
And he said, because everyone wore knickers, and he just had long pants because knickers were, more
The end thing,
expensive.
right.
So, and he identified it, and he just loved it. And yes, it did have the fold down back window, and there was about 3 inches of glass, bulletproof glass on the windows, and there was a.
Where is that car today?
It was sold to a gentleman in Ohio, so I don't know. I haven't found out where.
And there were rumors of secret compartments with weapons and things in the.
On the back of the driver's front seat, there was a
glove box compartment type.
something like that, which was long for a gun.
Were there secret compartments for money?
No,
Kind of
for-
like Lakewood Church?
No, it was. It was. Yeah, I just heard about that. It was for guns, long guns, with the rear window folded down, and it had the siren, and it was painted, the colors of the police department at that time, Chicago Police, so they
Interesting.
could go through
Yeah.
the streets.
Well, when O'Quinn was alive and he had this absolutely stunning collection of cars, he actually, was it the Astrodome or was it Reliance Stadium, now NRG Stadium, that he actually pretty much had his own show where he showed his own cars.
Yes.
I don't recall which one it was, but clearly it was a collection that no longer exists because after he died, all those cars were sold off.
Yeah.
Auction, yeah. We'll never see them again. It was a shame. I was in charge of giving tours of his showroom on Hempstead Highway, and it was only 300 cars. He had over 1,000 cars. Some of them were stored right near the Astrodome.
Yeah.
Okay, in a couple of warehouses. And he would call up, the mechanic, Joe, and he said, Joe, Darla and I are going Friday to an event at, the Hilton, and I want to pull up in the LaSalle town car. And okay, Mr. Quinn, we'll get it ready, and of course it was ready. Okay, he had so many cars and so many wonderful memories of history. Baseball people who had cars that were baseball legends, music legends, cowboy cars, movie stars' cars. Just amazing.
Well, it may be unfair to say, but I would like to think that Jay Leno has amassed a collection similar to that. Not like it, but similar to it in the fact that there's every kind of make and model car that you could possibly think of, and it continues to grow. Jay Leno's collection.
Well, we asked Jay Leno's mechanic, or Jay Leno, in fact, I called him. John had a Stanley Steamer.
Yes.
And we couldn't get it running because you need to be a certified Boilermaker to work on that car. And we understand that Jay had a Stanley Steamer.
He had a steam engine of some sort.
Well, it was a
Yeah,
Stanley Steamer.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And no speed limit. As long as you could provide enough steam like a locomotive, it would go forever.
It would go, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it would go 200 miles an hour if you could keep the wheels on it. And we borrowed Jay's mechanic. We flew him out, and he had the thing running in about a day. We thanked him. And then Jay contacted me because I wanted him. I contacted Jay to be Grand Marshal at Keels and Wheels. And he looked into it and he said, Ron, I know the airport, Hobby Airport. I know we can land there. The problem is, Ron, I do a show in Las Vegas, and I can't not miss that show.
Right.
And because Keels and Wheels is on a weekend, I couldn't. So
Right. Yeah, he has an obligation a contractual
Yeah.
obligation that he had to be there and couldn't do it.
Well,
right.
and he also is very interested in my Nash, the Woody.
If you need another Grand Marshal celebrity type, you got,
Well, we thought
Don.
about Don, but he
Yeah.
has this radio show,
Okay.
and he's expert in
Nothing.
Corvettes.
And absolutely nothing. Yeah. Except giving people a hard time.
That's fine, no
go.
problem.
Yeah.
I like
hard time king. All right. Let's see.
Where are we?
I want to do this story, and a matter of fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this story at the top of the next hour,
Okay.
because it is truly fascinating. At least I think it is, and I think that you'll be interested in it as well.
And we've got auto history, and I'm going to pass this to Mike when that happens.
Okay. Here's one story that I did want to get in. Bobby Mays, Charles Gooch, and Courtney Wells were found guilty of charges, including conspiracy to commit wire fraud and multiple counts of wire fraud, forgery, and aggravated identity theft. Federal jury in November convicted the Oklahoma dealership owner and former comptroller of using fraud to fool finance companies into issuing auto loans to consumers who might have been denied otherwise. U.S. Attorney's Office said November 22nd that sentencing would occur in about 90 days. They are going up the river for being bad business people.
like financial
They
fraud.
own Big Red Sports Imports and Big Red Kia up in Oklahoma. Hoo-wee,
You're going to have a red ass after that.
so to speak. Yeah, most definitely. All right. I do want to, let me do one more story. General Motors expects full-year adjusted pre-tax profits will reach about $14 billion higher than the previous forecast, according to CFO Paul Jacobson. GM had previously forecast full-year adjusted pre-tax profits at $11.5 billion to $13.5 billion. Jacobson said GM's financial performance is benefiting from strong consumer demand, high prices for new vehicles, and more stability in supplies of semiconductors. Okay. Jacobson cautioned that supplies of semiconductors and GM's vehicle production won't get back to normal until late 2022. GM's inventories of vehicles at dealerships won't get back to normal anytime soon. All right. Well, that's it for this hour. Quick breakdown. We'll be right back. You are on the In Wheel Time Car Show.
It's a very special Christmas Tailpipes and Tacos Car Cruise In, Saturday, December 18th at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy. Bring a toy for Star of Hope and have breakfast on us. Tailpipes and Tacos will award trophies for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and Best Modern Classic. It's the Great Christmas Cruise In on Saturday, December 18th, so make plans now. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest cruise in, and this one brings it all together for Star of Hope in a Toys for Breakfast Christmas special. Bring a toy and get a free Lupi Tortilla breakfast, plus trophies for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and Best Modern Classic. It all happens at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Get your ride ready for a very special Christmas cruise in Lupi style. It's Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, December 18th, 8 to 11 a.m. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Let's celebrate the Christmas season together at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Toys for a free Lupi breakfast, Saturday, December 18th, 8 to 11 a.m. We'll see you then, weather permitting. If you're in charge of your company's small, medium, or large business anywhere in the U.S., let the On Hold Company help you retain customers and promote your business on your telephone system. Promote special sales or company info when placed on hold. The On Hold Company provides custom on-hold messages with professional male or female voices, licensed background music with no long-term contract, no monthly recurring bill, and updates your messages as needed. Call the On Hold Company at 713-223-HOLD or go to onhold.net. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. Celebrating 10 years of award-winning car talk, it's the In Wheel Time Car Show. Just ahead, we're going to run down Jerry Emmons on his new NHRA Stock Eliminator Championship trophy, one that moves behind his head. Yeah. We need more. Jeff reviews our used vehicle of the week. Auto enthusiast and classic car genius Ron Stein makes a rare in-studio appearance. We've got the car clinic. Are we doing the car clinic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll also do This Week in Auto History and have a few stories making auto news headlines this week. All just ahead, this edition of the In Wheel Time Car Show. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars. We need more. Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today. King Conrad is out today. He'll be back next week. And while we await the appearance of Jerry Emmons, we're going to do a feature that we normally do a little bit later on in the hour of the show, and that is a thing that we do every week, and it's called This Week in Auto History. And Conrad's out. He normally does that, but Jeff is taking over his duties today. So.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say thank you, Ron, for coming in. I mean, I feel honored sitting next to you. Your knowledge and what you've done in your automotive career. It's fantastic.
Don't make his head any bigger than it already is.
I appreciate you saying that.
We love you, though. You know that.
Because you're not going to hear from these guys. Of course. They're going to take advantage of you.
Thank you. You're here, Jeff.
There's a tip jar on the way out.
No. Yeah, my father gave me a tip. Don't bet on horses.
Exactly.
Okay, well, this is for Conrad. You ready, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. So in 1895.
This Week in Auto History.
Yes.
1895.
Yes.
Go.
Here.
No.
The Great Chicago Race, first automobile race, first race featuring gasoline-powered automobiles, organized by Chicago Times-Herald, took place between Chicago and Waukegan, Illinois. 6 vehicles competed, 2 electric, 3 German Benz automobiles, 1 American-made 2-cylinder Duria automobile.
Duryea.
Yeah.
That.
That one. $5,000 in prizes. First place of $2,000. Frank Duria, winner of
Duryea.
him.
Also.
10 and a half hours with no other car in sight. Average speed was 7.5 miles per hour.
Dear Lord.
Second place was the German Oscar Mueller. Completed the race in an hour.
That's Mueller.
Mueller. Hour and a half later. 1902, Mike. Stay with me, buddy.
I'm working on
The
it.
first working V8 engine was patented in France by French engine designer Léon Marie Joseph Clement Levasseur. Wow.
Say that again?
I can't.
Oh, wow, that was really
I
good.
just pulled a muscle. The engine block was the first to arrange 8 pistons in a V formation that allowed the crankshaft with only 4 throws to be turned by 8 pistons. Today, V8 engines are extremely common in automobiles that need powerful motors. There you go. Look at that. 1913, the Ford Motor Company introduced the continuous moving assembly line on this day. Ford's new assembly line could produce a complete car every 2.5 minutes. The efficiency of speed of Ford's production lines allowed the company to sell cars for less than any competitor. Look at that. 1921, Detroit Steam Motors Corporation announced the Trask steam car, a favorite project of automobile distributor O.C. Trask. That's Trask. A steam-driven automobile had reached the world record speed of 127.66 miles per hour, Ron.
God.
In 1906, causing a steam car craze that lasted through the 20s. The last steam-powered cars in the U.S. were made in 1926. So that was the steam anxiety.
Steam era.
Yeah. 1960, on this day, the first Scout.
I think they made those in Cleveland.
The Scout?
No, the Cleveland steamer.
Oh,
The Stanley steamer.
Stanley
No,
steamer.
the Cleveland steamer.
Oh,
that's
really?
a carpet cleaning guy, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, even in those days.
All right. On this day, the first Scout all-terrain vehicle rolled off the assembly line in
What is it, Mars? Wait just a minute. Mars is giving me the side-eye look over there.
I'm trying not to laugh out loud.
Sorry, guys. This is Conrad's segment. Don't blow it for him.
We're going to blame him.
Scout all-terrain vehicle rolled off the assembly line at International Harvester's Fort Wayne plant. The history of International Harvester dates back to the early 1800s. And lastly, Mike, the last Pacer is produced by American Motor Company. The bubble-topped Pacer was a reasonably popular economy
Oh,
car.
my God. What an ugly thing
Though
that was.
its Jetson-styled body.
Oh, it does
flag
not a
from the-
Jetson-style
It's written
body.
right here. You got to believe it. Flag from car critics and stand-up comedians alike. There you go. Thank
Oh,
you,
my
Conrad.
God. What
Good stuff,
what
buddy.
a doofus car that
Good
is.
stuff. I love you, Conrad.
Put an LS in it and it'll be fine.
Put an LS in it.
Dumb it out.
Perfect.
I love it.
The only problem with steam cars, if you want to go somewhere, you got to get into the garage beforehand and start the fire to get the steam, and then you could go. You couldn't just get in the car and go, boom, I'm out.
Yeah, I've always got to start
What-
the fire.
Yeah, especially at this age.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder how long it took to heat the water. If you had, I guess it was it coal? Did they burn coal in those cars?
Coal or wood. Yeah.
Wood.
Wood.
Well, I would imagine that coal would have been a little bit easier to handle than wood chunks.
Yeah, I don't know how long it takes wood to start.
I don't either, but I know
it
that
generate heat and then
Yeah.
stay heated.
yeah, and have a nice glow.
Well, it was like a kettle on the stove. You hear.
That's
there
it.
You go. you
Right?
know.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
And then you need a source for water. No matter where you went, you had to regenerate the water because it would turn to steam.
Well, I would
That's like
imagine
the
that
steam
any
engines.
any bayou around the city of Houston
that's
could
probably
supply
true.
you with that.
That's probably true.
Although I don't know how many steam cars they had here in the city of Houston back in the steam era.
I think a Ruxton made in New York State was a.
Wait a minute, wasn't there? Is it
Ruxton.
Kenny Rupston? Rupston? What is that?
Ruxton.
Kids character.
Yeah, it's a little toy, teddy bear or something.
Yeah.
Teddy Ruxpin.
Teddy Ruxpin. Oh, that's this. Oh, okay, Teddy Ruxpin.
Ruxton, yeah. It was a New York State manufacturer.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't Baldwin Motion up there too? Weren't they in New Jersey or something?
I Don't
Or was it
know.
Yenko? No. So who was up there?
Yanko was in. Yeah, Yanko now would make race cars.
Well,
Yenko, yeah.
so they did all those conversions. I think
Yes.
the first conversion they did was on a Corvair, where they bumped up the horsepower in it, and then it went on to be in Yenko Camaros and Yenko
Yes.
Novas.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that
he was
sort of
well
stuff.
known. He was and I don't know if he's still in business today.
No, they're not in
Yeah,
business
no.
anymore. No, I don't think so anyway.
Either do I. Yeah.
I did read a story on the actual original building, and apparently it is in disrepair. But you would think that somebody would go in. Of course, you never know what part of town it's in now.
Probably.
But you would think that somebody would go in there and fix it up and clean it up and make it look like it did back in the day. But that would be me, you know. Of course, I would be the guy that would have the Wisco 99 service station on the corner where the guys would come out and check your oil, clean your windshield, check the pressure in your tires, and fill your tank up for nothing.
Yep. And wipe your windshield down.
I said
Right.
that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. With a bad shop rag. So you'd leave there the windshield greasy and dirtier than it was when you pulled in.
That's sort of like a car wash today.
Kind of like that, yes.
And
Kinda
then you
like
tip
that.
them. You would tip
And then you would tip them for messing up your car.
and they'd say, "You want 1 or 2 gallons? That'll be $1.
If that.
A quarter
A gallon.
Yeah.
I remember a day, this is back before you moved here, they used to have gasoline wars when they'd have stations across from each other. And I remember at one of the gasoline wars that the station down the street had, they were selling gasoline for $0.05 a gallon.
wow.
$0.05 a gallon.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Well, I remember high school going around to gas stations that were closed and draining the pump.
left, yeah.
Yeah, the
pump.
leftovers that was in the hose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you ever go back home where you were raised?
Yes.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Does anything look the same there?
Everything looks a lot smaller and a lot closer and a lot different because
Now, where were you raised?
in Malvern, Long Island, on the South Shore, on the ocean side of the island.
That's why you've got that surfer look to you.
Well,
That's what it is, yeah.
I used to surf out in Montauk Point at a place called Ditch Plains, and Kat and I went out to do a memory tour, and Kat said, "You're not going to find Ditch Plains." I said, "I'm going to find Ditch Plains." But before we went to Gossman's Dock on the end of the Long Island for a seafood dinner, a lunch, and a very attractive waitress walked by, and and she was wearing a T-shirt, and it said,
Dagmar.
I said, "My dream." No. It said, "I surf Ditch Plains." I said, "It's over. It's been discovered." And I found it, and there was a key sock there where they're selling hot dogs. And
Did you take a picture?
I did. And Kat was fascinated with the surfers. And I bought one of original number 62 of original Hobie's original surfboards when he was shaping them on the beach in California.
Yep.
And he went on to Hobie surfboards.
These are
and
long
Hobie
boards.
cats. Yeah,
Long
12 foot.
boards.
12 foot.
Yeah.
Okay. And I had an MGA, and it was almost as long as my car.
Yeah.
Okay. And I had a top down with a rack,
Did you go to your drag strip that you hung out at? Or where it was?
Well, we used to go to, we went all over the country. We went to Bricktown, New Jersey. We went to Langhorne, Pennsylvania. And remember, there weren't a lot of drag strips in those days in the East. And I was asked to come to a meeting at the Garden City Hotel, where actually Lindbergh left from Long Island, Roosevelt Field in Long Island, to make his trip across the thing, Roosevelt Field. And Wally Parks and Peterson and Iskandarian.
The magazine fame.
Iskandarian and Bell.
Ed Iskandarian.
Yeah.
It's a name you haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah. And they wanted me to go and help start a new club called the National Hot Rod Club and be one of the charter members and a representative on the East Coast to promote safe drag racing. And my father said, Ron, a bunch of hot rod guys like you, not going to admit, not going to,
We mount to anything.
Right, exactly. P.S., P. Peterson Publishing,
Sure.
Scuderian, Bell Safety Helmets, Crocker Timing Equipment, all of them became very wealthy and happy. And
you mentioned
and
one, the NASCAR
Peterson.
racing,
P. Peter
Wally Parks.
Parks, well, he started the National Hot Rod
Yeah,
Association.
NHRA.
Yeah, I was president of a hot rod show, a hot rod club, in the early '50s in Long Island.
So what's your next project? Think somebody's going to come to you, Ron, and say, hey, you know what, I got this idea for this
We've got a new drag
show
strap,
or
Ron,
what-
and
yeah,
we
yeah.
want to put that in over on the east side of town. Over
Can you
near
help us
Crosby.
out?
Can you help us
Well,
out?
I remember going to the one that the gay
Family.
had
Yeah.
off of 45 near Galveston, just
Yes.
this side.
Dickinson.
Yeah,
Dickinson. There was
Dickinson.
also one up in Porter.
Houston International Speedway.
Right, and there was one in Porter, a small little drag
Yes,
strip in the woods.
East Tex drag
Right.
race.
So you got any like fire burning for something like that? Any flame going?
Not really. I mean, I think I've reached my peak maybe 50 years ago. Yeah, I'm only 86 now, so I'm
Are you 86?
Wow.
yeah, been around a long time. I raced.
You look great.
I raced with some of the big boys up in New York. Prudhomme, the Snake Rat, the
Swamp rat.
Swamp Rat. Yeah,
When did you move to Houston?
32 years ago. Yeah,
32.
yeah.
And what brought you here?
I was a high school administrator. I worked my way up from a shop teacher to department chairman, to assistant principal, to assistant to the superintendent. And after 20-some-odd years, I said, I don't want to worry about the PTA money or whether the milk came for the elementary school, and a change of venue. And I knew one person who was in real estate here and just starting out, and we bought an apartment complex opposite Sharpstown High School, and we revamped it, and then we didn't know that the invasion of the Chinese invasion, as far as buying things, and someone came and said, you want to sell the property? We made a number up from like the phone book, no one's going to buy this for that price.
And they
They came
did.
and said, yeah, and they said, put myself out of business. So I started my own company, Real Estate Management Associates,
Yeah.
and managed for out-of-town investors, shopping centers, office buildings, apartments, houses. No houses, didn't like that.
Well,
So here I am.
very cool.
And a
Raised two
car
boys.
collector
Yeah.
Yeah.
with cars all over the city of Houston stashed away in nondescript storage
Underground buildings, yeah, right.
Yeah,
Right.
nothing underground here.
No.
Yeah.
I found that early on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, where are the basements here? And they
Yeah,
go,
no, that doesn't work out too well.
No.
So, what do you drive? What did you drive here?
I actually drove my 2015 Altima Nissan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, reliable. It starts every time. Don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's very boring, though.
Well, it is,
It's very boring.
but
you
that's
know.
okay. It's a nice car and it works. So, the heck
Over
with it.
100,000 miles. And not
Wow.
And what do? You just drive it back and forth to work?
No, I drive it on trips. We go everywhere,
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But, I would rather drive my Woodies, but they're in Spring Branch. I've got the...
Do you start the Woodies occasionally? I mean, how do you get the juices flowing in those cars?
You start them, and, the major problem with any collector of anything, whether it be cars or antique outboard engines, which I'm a member of an antique outboard engine club because I have one Chris Craft wooden boat with an outboard engine. It's the ethanol.
The ethanol.
And it's clogging every gasket and
Orifice,
every jet
yeah.
orifice, and that's a problem. And I put a supplement in all of my tanks, and I start them just to get the juices flowing and going. And occasionally I'll take them out for a ride. People sometimes ask me or want to hire me for advertising. For a lot of, I've noticed a lot of antique cars are in advertising now, as far as print. You see a woman model, on a fender of a car or sitting behind a car. So they're getting popular now. And movie companies, a couple of my cars have been in movies.
Really?
Yeah, one was called,
We happen to know a movie car guy.
Yeah, well, they call me sometimes and they ask, we need a car for a shot. Okay, my Mark II was in a movie.
Was it here in Houston?
Yeah, it was here in Houston, and it was the relationship between the heart surgeons and the plastic surgeons who were doing implants, and how there was who was going to be more famous, and they took my Mark II and I drove it to River Oaks, and it was in a drive. It wasn't driven. It was in a driveway.
A static shot.
A static shot. Yeah. And then another one was for ranch style beans, and one of my Woodies was in that, and paid me very well, and it was fun to do.
Well, all I can remember, speaking of Woodies, is the movie Holiday Inn. And I think that Bing Crosby was in that movie, and it was trying to get business for a closed down
motel.
It's a lodge or something like that.
Holiday Inn. Mm-hmm. And they had shows there through the holidays. I think it was a spinoff of White Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, Woodies. People ask me, well, is this real wood? I said, yeah, it's wood because Ford, every manufacturer had Woodies. Ford had Woodies, Chevy had Woodies, Chrysler had Woodies. They foresaw after the war there would be a shortage of metal. So Ford bought an entire forest in Iron Mountain, Michigan for wood.
Yep.
And he was walking around and everything was pre-made, all the forms. And he saw all the sawdust on the floor, and he said, "What are you doing with the sawdust?" And the guy said, "Well, we throw it out." He said, "No, because there's got to be a source for this." Being so frugal as he was, and used every part of everything. And excuse me, he ordered that the sawdust be collected and pressed into bricks for fireplaces, and it's called to this day Fordson. And the sawdust was mixed with charcoal to provide
heat,
sustainability.
For grilling.
He also bought a rubber tree plant in South America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was called Fordovania or something. There was a name, Fordville or something of that. It didn't
Pottersville.
last. I'm sorry.
Pottersville.
No, Fordtopia or something like that. I think it was Fordtopia.
I guess you're not familiar with.
He and Firestone. The three Firestone, Ford, and Edison used to have a yearly get together, camping, and I can imagine the brain trust that went with that group.
I can't even imagine.
No.
And
that's why all Ford cars came with Firestone tires.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, until Firestone was killing people with tires that were inadequate, and then that all went.
They didn't mean to.
They didn't mean to. That's it.
And the early tires, the tread actually said non-skid. If you look at early cars, the early
Can
tires,
you still buy tires like that?
No, but you could buy. I could buy tires up until about 10 years ago through Sears Roebuck for a Model A.
You're dating yourself.
Saying Sears Roebuck?
Yeah.
It's called Fordlandia. Fordlandia, and it was in Brazil.
Okay. I'm familiar with Brazilians.
They make good wax.
The wax?
They make really good wax.
Carnauba.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey,
what am I doing?
I believe it's time for your car review.
Okay. Well, it's not really a used car review. This is something space age.
Okay, well, let's hear it because
we got to get. Hold on, I got to get Mike set up.
Is it Jetsons? Jetsons?
Pretty close.
It's pretty close to that.
That was the first Woody, the Jetsons car.
This is a Ford vehicle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, it is.
And so
pass that down. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And what was this thing called?
This is a Ford Aurora 2.
So this has nothing to do with the Oldsmobile Aurora.
No, or a Oldsmobile ignition switch. It has nothing to do with that either. Conrad.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Yeah, if you didn't catch it, Con.
Okay, well, there it is. It's the Ford Aurora concept. It's the Ford Aurora 2. It's a space-age station wagon mere mortals could only dream of.
What year is this?
This is a 1969. Well, we're going to get to a 69, but this one is earlier in the 50s.
Look at that.
50s and 60s are considered many of the golden era of car production in the U.S. standards of production.
Catch it, Con.
Okay, well, there it is. It's the Ford Aurora concept. It's the Ford Aurora 2. It's a space-age station wagon mere mortals could only dream of.
What year is this?
This is a 1969. Well, we're going to get to a 69, but this one is earlier in the 50s.
Look at that.
50s and 60s are considered lines here because it's nonsense. Concept cars are displayed at car shows and fairs, and a select few actually went into mass production. Though often missing at least a few of the fancy gadgets they were originally designed with, which, all the fancy stuff and space-age things that they don't put in anymore. One car sadly never made it to production was the Ford Aurora. And the problem with this one is it was introduced at the same time at the New York's World Fair of the 1965 Mustang. So the Mustang concept took all the eyeball and all that
all
away
the
from
press
this.
away from
Exactly. And it goes on to say that the Mustang really kind of just beat it up in the
Well, let's see. We can have this or we can have the Mustang. I'm not choosing this.
Yeah.
So while the Mustang did offer sheer power, the Aurora was designed a living room on wheels, basically is what they're calling it. Long glass sun panels stretched from the front to the back to let in plenty of light. The back hatch of the wagon could be used as stepping for getting in and out of the rear-facing back seat. The real magic happened in the middle of the wagon. A curved sectional-like...
No, the real magic happened in the back of the wagon.
A curved sectional-like middle seat created something like a conversion pit, a conversation pit in the middle of the car.
That's what you need. Talking to the driver while you're going down the street.
Lovely. Yeah, don't talk to me while I'm driving.
Right.
Then you could turn the passenger seat around so you could talk to the
Right.
people in the lounge.
In order to achieve this, the rear driver's seat eliminated while a set of 2 suicide doors on the passenger side allowed everyone to pile in efficiently. Now, the car was redesigned in '69, and it became the Aurora 2, which you're seeing there. This time, it was a prototype with LED bulbs, headlights, wood grain trim instead of chrome along the sides. This had a refrigerator and an oven in it. Now, looking at that car, I actually got this from my cousin Douglas Schaefer lives here in Texas, and he belongs to a hot rod Facebook site, and he sends these out. And this is what attracted me to this. So thank you, Douglas Schaefer, for this.
It looks like a Galaxy or an LTD station wagon.
Yeah, Country Squire.
Yep, that's it.
Model after the Country Squire. And it was also in the movie My Man Flint with James Coburn.
Oh, I love that movie.
So that you'll see
My
that car in
hero.
there. We're all going to go home to going into Don's house this afternoon. We're going to watch the movie.
No, we're not.
So, and that's it. I mean, it's fascinating that Ford, Ford was pretty much the innovator. I mean, I think above General Motors and Chrysler in the innovation side of it. I think, in my opinion.
Well, because what are you going to do? Just miss Harley Earl and all of those great designs?
Well, no, you're not going to miss it, but
dismiss it.
No, I won't dismiss it either, but I'm saying I think they had maybe a little bit better edge. Yep. Back to you in the studio.
And here's a Cadillac guy.
Yeah.
And I think that even today, I think the Cadillac
Prejudiced.
is still made by General Motors, but not Jeff. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Ford's got a better idea.
Ford does have a better idea. Look what they did to the Mustang.
That was Lee Iacocca.
That's right. Who went
No,
down to
I'm talking-
Chrysler.
Yeah.
I should have. Let me take that back. The Mach-E.
The Mach-E.
E.
Oh, good Lord.
Boy, did I hit
What
a
did you?
nerve.
What,
I hit a nerve.
what were
The
you
Mach-E
smoking?
and the Mach-E.
What were you smoking today?
They need to put-
Mach-E and Mach-E.
They need to put Dagmars in the front of that Mach-E.
Yeah, it would sell.
That would sell it right there. Now, there's plenty of room up there because there's no grill. All right. The In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available on your favorite podcast channel. The In Wheel Time Car Show continues right after this.
It's a very special Christmas Tailpipes and Tacos Car Cruise In, Saturday, December 18th at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy. Bring a toy for Star of Hope and have breakfast on us. Tailpipes and Tacos will award trophies for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and Best Modern Classic. It's the Great Christmas Cruise In on Saturday, December 18th, so make plans now. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest cruise in, and this one brings it all together for Star of Hope in a Toys for Breakfast Christmas special. Bring a toy and get a free Loopy Tortilla breakfast, plus trophies for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and Best Modern Classic. It all happens at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Get your ride ready for a very special Christmas cruise in Loopy style. It's Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, December 18th, 8 to 11 a.m. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Let's celebrate the Christmas season together at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Toys for a free Loopy breakfast, Saturday, December 18th, 8 to 11 a.m. We'll see you then, weather permitting. If you're in charge of your company's small, medium, or large business anywhere in the U.S., let the On Hold Company help you retain customers and promote your business on your telephone system. Promote special sales or company info when placed on hold. The On Hold Company provides custom on-hold messages with professional male or female voices, licensed background music with no long-term contract, no monthly recurring bill, and updates your messages as needed. Call the On Hold Company at 713-223-HOLD or go to onhold.net. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com.
Celebrating 10 years of award-winning car talk, it's the In Wheel Time Car Show. Coming up, we got the Car Clinic. We'll have this week's auto news. And more importantly than any of that, we got Ron Stein, ladies and gentlemen, in the studio today with us. I got some stories that I really want to get to. A couple of them. First of all, we'd like to welcome Elon Musk to Texas officially.
All right.
Elon and Tesla officially said goodbye to California and howdy to Texas, saying in a U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission filing Wednesday that the corporate headquarters are now at the Gigafactory in Austin, Texas.
Yeehaw.
You know what Elon needs? He needs more Jeff.
He does need more Jeff, and maybe we could, have we officially invited him on the show?
Twice. Sent emails and
did you get any responses at all?
No.
We got Ron.
Ron, a much better choice.
We don't need Elon. We got Ron.
Right.
So, well, now that he's closer to us, I think that are you going through the right channels to get to Elon?
Well, I was trying to get straight to him.
Well, I understand, but you got to go through the channels. I mean, you just can't go straight to him. That's not going to work.
Why not?
He's got people. You got to go through the people. We've got to be put on his calendar. We need his secretary. We need Dagmar.
Your people to his people.
Our people need to talk to
and
his
you're the people.
So this is a pretty interesting story. Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares said, this is a story from Automotive News, said external pressure on automakers to accelerate the shift to electric vehicles potentially threatens jobs and vehicle quality as producers struggle to manage the higher costs of building EVs. Governments and investors want car manufacturers to speed up the transition to EVs, but the costs are, quote, beyond the limits, end quote, of what the auto industry can sustain, according to Tavares, who had an interview with Reuters. Next Conference, that's the name of the thing. He says, what has been decided is to impose on the automotive industry electrification that brings 50% additional costs against a conventional vehicle. He went on to say, there's no way we can transfer 50% of additional costs to the final consumer because most parts of the middle class will not be able to pay. Think about this. Automakers could charge higher prices and sell fewer cars or accept lower profit margins, Tavares said. Those paths both lead to cutbacks. Union leaders in Europe and North America have warned tens of thousands of jobs could be lost. Automakers need time for testing and ensuring that new technology will work, Tavares said. Pushing to speed that process up is going to be counterproductive. It will lead to quality problems. It will lead to all sorts of problems, he said. Tavares said Stellantis is aiming to avoid cuts by boosting productivity at a pace far faster than industry norm. Like other automakers that earn profits from combustion vehicles, Stellantis is under pressure from EV maker Tesla and other electric vehicle startups such as Rivian. The EV companies are far smaller in terms of vehicle sales and employment. Tavares said governments should shift the focus of climate policy toward cleaning up the energy sector and developing electric vehicle charging infrastructure. Hello. Which I've been saying from the very beginning. Electric vehicles are great, but you got to have the infrastructure to charge them. And if you don't have a home charger or a way to charge them conveniently located on your trip to Dallas or Wichita Falls or wherever it is.
Well, and you talked about steam engines and the Stanley Steamer. That was like that version or that day's electric vehicle because of the steam and the water and getting the fuel and the burning
But
the
you
wood.
still had coal.
Well, coal, sure.
Fossil fuel.
But you still had to fire it up and heat it up.
We had to get it to the area that
Yeah.
you're going to.
Had to mine it,
from.
do all of that. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Mars.
Yes, sir.
So I assume that you got this as well, this press release. Houston Auto Show and the
Did.
Boat Show are getting hitched.
So I knew it was going to
Keels
happen.
and wheels. There you go.
Knew it was going to happen.
Exactly. So they're going to do that this year. First time ever. Auto Show and Boat Show are getting hitched, bringing land and sea lovers together for one spectacular event, January 26th to January 30th. Attendees can experience the latest vehicles, boats, and outdoor activities for just one ticket.
Didn't we suggest that the last time? I think we sort of had an influence
Was that
on
us
I
that
think
did
it could have been.
I don't know if Rochelle would agree with that, but she's not here.
Well,
So
yeah,
we
go
can
with
take
it.
it.
We'll go with it. We did that.
We're going with
And
credit.
I don't know if you knew this, Ron, but we helped free Britney in Britney Spears. We helped free that. We
That's
were
right.
part of
Got
that
it.
influence.
Absolutely, we were.
You're welcome, Britney.
Welcome. Okay,
You're welcome,
perfect.
Brittany.
Yeah.
New auto brands. You ready for this?
Do it.
You ready?
Yep.
I'm
Stein, are you ready?
I'm ready.
So you can trade in the Altima, Nissan Altima, for something like a Canoo prototype van. Canoo showed up a prototype electric van in L.A. In the spring, Canoo said it would build an assembly plant in Oklahoma, Mars, scheduled to open in 2023. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Electra Mechanica Solo. Vancouver-based Electra Mechanica says it marries bold ideas with elegant design to create thrilling new ways to move people. Its LA show debut, a tiny car called the Solo, is a one-seat EV that starts at just $18,500, about the
that.
size of a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Because it got
It has-
training wheels where I won't fall
It
over.
has a 100-mile range and is aimed at both consumers and commercial customers. A one-seater. Okay.
Yeah.
Fisker's Electric Ocean crossover has a giant vertical touchscreen that can rotate horizontally for movie watching and the like when the vehicle is in park.
Or when it's
Fisker
turning
said-
over.
Or turning over. Fisker says production is scheduled to begin in 1 year with prices ranging from $37,500 to $69,000 before tax credits and shipping fees. How about another EV startup, LA-based Indy EV, showing an electric crossover called the Indy One. That's INDI. And according to the automaker's website, it'll have production versions on sale in less than 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, the way they're putting the cars together now, and
They're
borrowing out.
This is all a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Tail lights from
Mullen-
a 79 Firebird.
not Mullet, but Mullen Technology CEO David Mitchery unveiled the Mullen 5 compact electric SUV at the LA show. Mullen calls the 5 a premium SUV, and it will start at $55,000 when it goes on sale in 2024. The company says it has a 325-mile range. Mullen announced this year that it will open a manufacturing plant in Elvis's hometown.
Yeehaw.
Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis, Tennessee.
Or how about the Neo ET7? Neo unveiled its mid-size electric sedan on the eve of the Guangzhou show. The 7-year-old Shanghai-based EV manufacturer says it hopes to produce 600,000 vehicles by late 2022. Okay.
What do any of these look like?
Nothing that you. Don't have a picture. Neo said the second plant, they haven't been designed yet.
But we're going to build them.
We're going to build them anyway.
Yep.
Or how about the VinFast VF E35 and the VF E36?
I want one.
I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
Good luck
Everybody's
on all
going
of
to
that.
make one. It's going to be like when the internet boom came out and all these people were doing all this internet stuff, and it's going to go bust.
I think that what we need to do is we need to build our own.
Ooh.
So we need to talk to Rochelle Salinas.
Yes, I already got an email to her.
Okay, about the show boat show, auto show boat show.
Yep.
Okay, mark that on your calendar. Into January.
Yep.
We'll be there. Is he ready?
Yes, he's ready.
Am I scared?
I think he's ready. He looks like he's ready.
Oh, he's ready.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Without further ado,
an NHRA champion deluxe, Jerry Emmons. Emmons Motors, there he is with his Lucas Oil sponsor and the winning helmet that he's going to auction off later today for millions of dollars, whoever will write him a check.
Yeah, for anybody.
Am I right?
How you doing, guys?
Well, we're doing
Man,
good, man. How are you?
I'm glad to be having this conversation with you.
I know that you are. See, what you don't know is that we've been kind of secretly following your efforts out there on the drag racing tour. And I'm sure that this is some big propped up thing that your brothers have all arranged, but we'll let that slide for today and just go with what sits before us. Congratulations, though, in all sincerity.
Really?
That is a feat, my friend.
Thank you very much. We had three, as I told you on the last show, when you guys had me on, we had 3 chances to make it happen. And we had to go down to the last event, which was in Pomona, California. So, when you think about, winning a world championship, at least on my end, I always thought about, you want to win it in like the storybook, right? You want to win it at the 11th hour. Everybody's in the stands, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, throw the winning touchdown pass.
I say that, but the pressure was unreal by the time we went to the 3rd event. And I was driving good at the previous 2, but I drove mediocre on the rounds that I had to win to go in front to take the lead. So I wasn't happy about that. Not that I drove bad, but I could have done a better job.
What in what regard? I mean, do you have bad lights or just mediocre lights? Or
I was driving excellent up until for the first event was the Vegas National event, and I had an average reaction time, which was my worst one by far from the time trials that we had made and throughout the eliminations. So I wasn't happy about that, and no reason. Like, I have no excuse. I can't say that I lost focus. But I lost something because it didn't come up the way it was supposed to be. But I just didn't perform to the level that I should have been.
But you won,
sir.
But you won.
Well, yeah. But when we went to the final event, my attitude, because when we loaded up in Vegas, we had 2 events in Vegas, and when we loaded up and we're going to the Pomona, that's when my attitude was pretty aggressive. I said, I'm not going to let this slide through our hands. I'm going to make sure that we don't make the same mistake twice. And I'm very blessed and very lucky that I have the family that I have and the friends that I have that stand behind me, and they motivate you. You know what I mean? Like, when we're talking in the pit area about the strategy, about what we're going to do, or whether we're in the staging lanes and they're helping me, and they have their own cars to run as well. So they get out of their car, stop what they're doing, they come back to me and they talk, and just to make sure everything's okay, and then we just take care of business. And man, it really worked out nice.
I think in your case, you've got a team. There's the team for the car, but your team is actually part of your family. So you've got just a little bit more. To me, that gives you an extra edge because you got that extra support like you're talking about.
I have to agree with that. So NHRA has this app on your phone that you can watch. So as the field is running. So the class that I won in was called Stock Eliminator. So as the field is running, now it's delayed probably 2 pairs. So as a pair of cars go down the track, I can grab my phone and I can look and every increment of the track of the 1320 mark is documented, like from the 60 foot, the 330, the 660, the 1,000 foot down to the 1320. So we do a lot of homework, as well as a lot of racers, but because I have the family and the friends with me, they're able to watch as well when I'm not able to. So we're able to watch the cars in front of us and follow the trend, meaning like we qualified on the day before. So when we run eliminations, it's the day after, right? The wind can change on you, the temperature can be warmer, cooler, things like that. So we have everything printed out of what the other cars with my similar combination. Like, it doesn't make sense to, for example, write down a car that like a 2010 Firebird, right, or whatever they are, and with the fuel injection 350 small block. I find cars that are naturally aspirated, like a big block Camaro, maybe a big block Chevelle, something like that. So I'll find those guys on my sheet, and I'll write down all of their increments. And I'll have my phone in my car as well as my brothers and my friend Jeff Miller, and we'll watch and see what those guys are doing, because I'll run towards the end of the session, and so we kind of get a trend. Okay, from the day before, it's like 0.03 of a second slower on the average. So I take that into consideration, because as you guys know, in our category, you have to dial in what you're going to run. Like, you have to guess, and you can't go under, because that's called a breakout, and you lose unless the other guy, your opponent, breaks out more. So you have to, there's a little bit of math involved. So you have to make sure you're dialed in correctly, and and you can run the number. You don't want to put a number on the car and hold it to the floor, and you're going to go 0.03 of a second above the dial in, or 5. That's not a good plan. So you try to make your car go as close to that number as you possibly can.
How do you do that?
Well, we have a lot of instrumentation that helps us monitor the weather. We have a software program that will also predict what it's going to run. The formula that we'll go off of, like I look at barometric pressure, I look at vapor pressure, and I look at temperature. Now, there's a lot of other things you can look at in formulas, but I feel like for my particular combination, which is a 396, big block Chevrolet with aluminum head with a 780 carburetor on it, I feel like for me, that's the best weather to watch to tell you if your car is going to go faster or slower. And then we also have a wind meter on the back of our 18-wheeler with the long pole that goes straight in the air. So it'll read the wind, if the wind changes direction, the speed, and things like that.
So a lot of that's based on your experience, because you figured out those are the things that affect your car, or that you feel like affect your car, that you can monitor best.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you say that, because up until probably 2 years ago, I used a completely different formula. I partnered up with a guy, Lee Zane from New Jersey, and he's a past world champion several times over, and we became really good friends. And he kind of gave me some pointers, and he kind of helped me look. He said, the method you have isn't bad and it's working, but I think we can probably refine that. Let's try to use a different formula than what you're using now. And it's not perfect. I don't think anything's perfect, but at least I feel like my odds are better to hit the dial in when I need to.
Well, okay. Well, one thing that I guess that we really didn't clarify is, what kind of car did you win with, and what was it?
It's a 1969 Chevrolet Camaro, which is in this picture right here.
Yep.
So we, and in Stock Eliminator, you can only have 9-inch wide slick tires. You cannot tub the back of it. You cannot narrow the rear end. So it's basically stock, right? I mean, you have to have the stock dash. You can't do what a lot of people do on the bracket scene, which is a cool thing to do if you want to. Take out all the stock interior and put aluminum for weight.
Well, I have to let me just interrupt here and just say this, that I was working for a Chevrolet dealer in 1969 called Richardson Chevrolet here in town, and I don't recall ever having a 1969 Camaro come from the factory with a 396 that could do wheelies like that car is behind you.
Yes,
so what's the trick there? How does that all happen?
It's the right foot.
The real story with that is, because NHRA says, okay, you have to weigh a certain amount, right? So my car, and I run it in B stock automatic. At least I did at that event, which means I'm pretty much to the top of the alphabet, which means I'm a faster car for the class. So NHRA says, okay, with the horsepower that you make, we're going to say you have to weigh X amount. So my car, to be legal for NHRA, has to weigh 3,610 pounds. So
That's a lot.
3610. It's a lot. That's right. So we have strategically placed weight, all throughout the car, but a majority of the weight is in the trunk. We have probably I have two 80-pound bars a piece laying down by the fuel cell in the trunk, bolted to the frame. And then I also have two 30-pound bars that bolt to that. I have a weight box, which holds 100 pounds. And then I have weight underneath by the rear end. That's like a 40 or 50. So a lot of weight is on the rear of the car. So once it gets going, it goes up pretty high.
It's like
and
300
we have shots that can adjust the front end. And I like it to be high. That's a pretty good race mode. I don't like it to leave like a go-kart. It needs to work.
How many trophies, how many Wallies do you have compared to your brothers? Who has the most?
Compared to my brothers?
Yeah, who has the most Wallies?
I think we all have a pretty good amount of, for example, I mean, honestly, we don't keep count. Well, we do everything collective. So I don't really know who has more.
I would keep count.
But Jeff doesn't have brothers that he's got to live with every day down there at the car dealership.
And I don't have Wallies either, so I guess it doesn't matter.
So what kind of horsepower do you guesstimate or are willing to tell us that you think that car has?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm very glad to answer that. So a guy by the name of Brian Tilburg from Trout Run, Pennsylvania, actually builds my engines, and we dyno it, and it makes like 660, 655, 660.
Oh my God!
Wow. So that's pretty good.
And this is in the stock eliminator class. I don't recall anything stock turning out 660 horsepower back in the day.
No, you're right. But these guys do a lot of work. I'm joking, and I say this laughingly, but like. We say the reason why these engines cost so much is because you have to cheat and then cover it up, right? To make it so. I mean, I'm not very mechanically inclined, but we just passed. I won the JAGS All-Stars at the U.S. Nationals a couple of months ago, and because I was a winner, the NHRA made me go to the teardown inspection. So they tear it down. We didn't have to pull a rod and piston, but they would check the head, they would check the camshaft. And they checked to make sure that you're not doing anything illegal, and we passed it. We were on the edge, but we passed.
But they literally pull the heads off and pull the cam out?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have to pull the head. We have to do the work and hand it to them, and then they have to check.
They
don't have to pull the camshaft out. They have a tool that can check the lift on the cam.
Lobes on it.
Yeah.
Down through the lifters, I guess.
Man, what an accomplishment! I mean, this is as they like to say, nationwide, baby. You got to be smiling big, which you are apparently. And so, what do you look forward to in 2022?
Obviously, I feel like I want to be better. I mean, I drove really good this year. I think skill set wise, I've never had more confidence than I do right now. And I could have lost the world championship and I would still have the same response to you. But I feel like I can still improve. And obviously, I would love to try to be a repeat, back-to-back world championship winner. But I'm more about, I want to help my brothers win their world championship. My older brother won the world championship back in 1994. And Terry and Gary have been really close. They finished number 2 and number 3 several times. But it's time, I want to help them get it so we can all say that we have that accolade.
Hey, before we end our conversation this morning, I want to talk to you just a little bit about the used car market and how things are going down there at Emmons Motors down there in the Friendswood area.
I'm glad you asked because I'm going to tell you a story about a vehicle that I tried to buy this week.
Okay.
So we all know that, the older the car, lower the mileage, the book value, the retail book value doesn't always reflect the true value, right? Just because there's not enough cars to accurately represent that. So 2008 Toyota Land Cruiser with 22,000 miles. Now,
wow.
That's the unicorn, right? I hardly ever see a Land Cruiser anyway. But
right, yeah.
2008, 22,000 miles. in the wrapper. It could be on anyone's showroom at all. So the NADA retail value is $29,000. I think 29.6 if I remember right.
All right.
Well, again, we know that that's probably low because there's not enough out there on the market to give a true representation. So we thought that we could retail that vehicle, even though retail is only 29. We thought we could retail it for 50. So that gives you a pretty good indication of how strong the market is. Well, we were not even in the same arena. It's sold to a wholesale dealer now, so he's going to take it and he's going to retail it for $56,000.
No, are you?
2008 with 22,000 miles, so for $56,000. When retail, let's just call it 30. So almost 30,000 over retail. And I guess maybe he has a museum he's going to put it in. I'm not sure. But.
Oh my gosh! So
Jeez.
did you sell it to a Houston dealer or is it out of state?
Well, we were trying to buy it.
Overseas.
It was at an auction. We were trying to buy this. The person that bought it, where was he from? I think he was from Indiana, someplace like that. Is where it's.
Did he
going.
come out of the insane asylum in Indiana?
We think, but listen, there's more than one. It was two people bidding, so he's the second guy is just as crazy as he is.
They got to be shipping overseas or something.
It's got to be overseas.
Yeah, that's exactly what we said because it's insane.
That's stupid money.
That car, I bet you, is going to go to Saudi Arabia or Dubai or
$100,000.
something like that.
Something like that.
They're going to double their
It
money.
would have to. Even at 50, I think we could still sell it. But when you're talking 56, now you have your transport fee, your auction fee, and it didn't look like it needed anything. But let's give it a couple $100 for anything, oil changing, whatever, maybe
Right.
brakes. So you put it. You have to get 60 to even make anything, and you're not making much at 60. So what I don't understand is how that the consumer that will, if it's going to stay here in the States, the consumer that's going to buy it, the money that they're going to have to come up out of pocket to put down to, if they don't pay cash for it to finance it. But think about that, technology has advanced so much from 2008 to 2020, even if you buy used 21. I mean, yes, it's a beautiful vehicle. Yes, it's low mileage and it is a cool Land Cruiser. But I would think for the money, you could probably get something a lot newer.
What's the
I'd be a lot
average?
happier.
What's the average age of the vehicle that's on your lot? Would you guesstimate?
It's probably 2015.
2012,
2015.
Okay. And what is the average price, say, for a 20? You do the ballpark with it, 2015. Let's just say 2015. What is the average ballpark of a good, nice, relatively low mileage used car today?
25,000.
25,000.
Yep, 20 to 25,000.
That's wow. That's substantial. How's
Oh,
your
yeah, it is. That's right.
how's your inventory?
We're really good. I just checked before we went on the show. We have 538 online. We have 60 in the body shop and 40 in line for detail. So we're okay, and we have probably 30 in transit waiting to arrive.
Jerry, tell everybody where the dealership is.
It's in Webster, Texas, so it's 45 South, exit 25, and we're right off the freeway. It's 1423 FM 528, Webster, Texas, Emmons Autoplex.
Emmons Autoplex. Hey man, congratulations!
Super.
Yeah,
really.
it's hey, we know the Emmons brothers.
We do.
And Jerry. Yeah, absolutely.
But those
World champion.
Those Wallies aren't moving.
Yeah, and the Wallies aren't moving this morning.
No. I had to lock the brothers out of the ring. But listen, I just want to say that we really appreciate your support. You guys following along because we definitely support you and follow along your show. But I feel like very much it's a privilege to come on to your show and to answer questions. It's a lot of fun for me. I'm very proud to be associated with you guys. So I just wanted to thank you very much for allowing my family to be part of your show.
Well, thank you, man. Well, that means a lot to us, and we appreciate you. And thank you so much again for joining us today. And good luck, and we'll be talking soon.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Jerry Emmons, NHRA Stock Eliminator Champion down there at Emmons Motorplex
Very, very cool.
in Webster, Texas. Yeah, it is very cool. Well, Ronnie Stein, it's been a real pleasure to have you on the show today and have you come over. We must do this more often.
We didn't get
yeah.
your book.
Well, this is just a little reference book.
For the Elvis.
Oh, okay.
That we talked about, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a pleasure being here, and it was very comfortable.
Are you impressed with the big
Studio?
studios here?
You know, it works, and that's
does.
all that counts.
That's like saying bless your heart.
Exactly. All right. Thank you, Ron Stein. We got
you.
more coming up here in just a minute.
It's a very special Christmas Tailpipes and Tacos Car Cruise In, Saturday, December 18th at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy. Bring a toy for Star of Hope and have breakfast on us. Tailpipes and Tacos will award trophies for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and Best Modern Classic. It's the Great Christmas Cruise In on Saturday, December 18th, so make plans now. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest cruise in, and this one brings it all together for Star of Hope in a Toys for Breakfast Christmas special. Bring a toy and get a free Loopy Tortilla breakfast, plus trophies for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and Best Modern Classic. It all happens at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Get your ride ready for a very special Christmas cruise in Loopy style. It's Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, December 18th, 8 to 11 a.m. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Let's celebrate the Christmas season together at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Toys for a free Loopy breakfast, Saturday, December 18th, 8 to 11 a.m. We'll see you then, weather permitting. If you're in charge of your company's small, medium, or large business anywhere in the U.S., let the On Hold Company help you retain customers and promote your business on your telephone system. Promote special sales or company info when placed on hold. The On Hold Company provides custom on-hold messages with professional male or female voices, licensed background music with no long-term contract, no monthly recurring bill, and updates your messages as needed. Call the On Hold Company at 713-223-HOLD or go to onhold.net.
Well, that's a wrap for another episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. Hey, when you're on our Facebook page, please give us a like. Tell your friends about us and share our junk if you would, please. We'll get, well, Conrad's unicorn hunting features on there, along with all things automotive all week long. There'll be some fun stuff on there, along with upcoming events. The In Wheel Time Car Show streams live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central. 30-minute podcasts are available from your favorite podcast outlet 7 days a week. Special thanks to all of our guests today, and especially the always effervescent Ron Stein.
Yes.
Car guy extraordinaire.
A sitting ovation.
Time Chief Engineer is David Ainsley. Our Marketing Manager and Video Technical Director is We Need More, Jeff Zekin.
We do.
For Booking Agent and Podcast Programmer, Mike Out of This World Mars is Royalty. King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong. Today's show is produced by Shirley and Brenda Weintraub, the Ironbox twins.
All right.
Be sure and join us again next week for another fun time in Car Talk on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Have a great weekend and great week. Stay safe, and we look forward to joining us next Saturday, 8 to 11 a.m. Central, and we will see you then.